Control the language, shape the mind. Dictate the culture, keep the masses blind. The party's hand, it moves unseen. Altering words, reshaping the scene. They twist the truth, they bend the light, crafting their narrative out of sight. Every term they redefine to serve their purpose, to toe their line. Everything means capitalism. In their parallel tongue, it's their prism. Whispered in socialist code, the truth obscured, the meanings erode. From bourgeoisie to equities, in their language weaves a twisted game. Each word a tool, each phrase a ploy to cloak the truth in their employ. Bourgeoisie oppressors they claim, equity's their utopia's name. Whiteness, racism, systemic fly. All roads lead back to their abolition fight. Fascism dubbed as free market stream, abolishing individual liberties. Their scheme, normativity, patriarchy script, all intertwined, their narrative flip. Everything means capitalism. In their parallel tongue, it's their prism. Whispered in socialist code, the truth obscured, the meanings erode. From bourgeoisie to equities, in their language weaves a twisted game. Each word a tool, each phrase a ploy to cloak the truth in their employ. Queer and trans, they declare the war on capitalism's norm they're restore. Gender binary, the nuclear family's home. Their destruction is the goal. Imperialism, colonization's reign. Decolonization to break the chain. The police, enforcers, they're named. Guardians of capital, their claim. Their language shapes, their rhetoric binds. To break the cycle, to free our minds. For in their words, they're hitting game. Capitalism's grip, they aim to tame. Everything means capitalism. In their parallel tongue, it's their prism. Whispered in socialist code, the truth obscured, the meanings erode. From bourgeoisie to equities, in their language weaves a twisted game. Each word a tool, each phrase a ploy to cloak the truth in their employ. Control the language, control the crowd. Within our hearts the truth is loud. Their words may twist, their meanings bend, but in the end our voices ascend.
Well, hey, everyone. Welcome to an early episode of The Cult. You can see right now we are counting down until Bibi Netanyahu addresses a joint session of Congress begging for our tax money. And so there's a lot going on today, guys. We're going to be watching the address to Congress. I do have the stream from C-SPAN. I've also got Nick Fuentes' stream up if he decides to go live, which I think he's planning on it. So we might pop over and watch Nick's reaction to it just because it makes it a little bit more interesting. We can watch it with or without him. I mean, we'll have to see how that goes. But in addition to the Prime Minister's speech today, we also have, there are massive protests going on outside the Capitol, organized by the same old far left groups. The Party for Socialism and Liberation is there per usual because they've been the ones that have been organizing a lot of these protests. Breakthrough News is covering it, which is a leftist kind of like on the ground reporting outlet. And so I thought after the speech today and after we get kind of like the Nick reaction, we might pop over to that and see what's what. It looks like Mike Johnson's about to say something.
The committee on the part of the House
So I guess we'll see.
His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of the State of Israel, into the chamber. The gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise. The gentleman from Minnesota, Mr.
So they're going to be escorting Netanyahu into the chamber. They're just announcing who's going to do that, guys. As a reminder, I am completely 100% funded by you. So if you enjoyed the stream today, I hope you'll consider sending in a super chat. Another way you can support the work I'm doing, actually my preferred way, is by heading over to my Substack, which is Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. The link is in the description below. Signing up for $8 a month, $80 a year. You guys keep me in business. I can't spend time doing this without your support. And so I really do appreciate everyone. If you enjoy the stream, enjoy the coverage, please consider throwing in a $5 super chat. $25 super chats gets us to our goal today. And so that would be really, really great. But if you can't do that, that's cool. Please make sure you mount the like button for me. Mounting the like button lets YouTube know to recommend my content. And we have a shockingly low amount of viewers right now on YouTube. So I don't know what's going on or if my content is even being served to people, because I usually have more viewers than this. So we'll have to, I guess, see. I know I'm going live a little bit early. People might be surprised by that, but that number is a little concerning to me, I got to be honest. So please go ahead and mount the like button, guys. We're going to do what we do regardless. I think I might actually have more viewers on Rumble right now than I have on YouTube. Wouldn't that be telling? Hey, Rumble, I can see you guys too. Please make sure you subscribe over on Rumble. If you are not yet, I do appreciate it. I'm popping out the Rumble chat so I can see it on my screen as well, so I can track you guys. And yeah, I guess we're just getting started, guys. We're just counting down.
Chamber through the lobby doors.
Thomas Massie is not attending today. Kamala Harris is not attending today. Nancy Pelosi is not attending today. Laura Loomer made sure to call Thomas Massie anti-Semitic because he doesn't want to attend a speech by a warmonger demanding our money. Thomas Massie, by the way, didn't attend Zelensky's speech either, but he's not anti-Semitic for that. He's just anti-Semitic if he doesn't attend. But you know, the good news is none of us are anti-Semitic. You know, I mean, listen, I got accused of being anti-Semitic last night on Twitter for saying Hitler, excuse me. I got accused of being anti-Semitic last night on Twitter for saying dogs loved Hitler. And so, but I can't be anti-Semitic because according to Laura Loomer, the criteria for being anti-Semitic is you don't want to attend Bibi Netanyahu's speech in front of Congress. But we're watching, so I can't possibly be anti-Semitic just for saying that dogs love Hitler. Oh, Nick just went live? Okay, let's go over to Nick. Why don't we do that? Nick looks handsome today.
The backdrop of Joe Biden withholding 2,000 precision-guided bombs, which is part of the $26 billion aid package allocated by Congress in May. And he says he's withholding that particular weapon shipment because there is concern that Israel will use it in their offensive in Rafah, where there's over 1 million Palestinians taking refuge. They've been driven from their homes in the north. I think, though, there's another reason. I think probably Biden won't give those bombs because Israel wants them to start a war in Lebanon. And this is Biden's way of signaling that he's not going to allow Israel to invade Lebanon, or at least we won't promote or support that. So I think it actually has more to do with the forthcoming invasion of Lebanon. All right, looks like the chamber has gone quiet. Is Netanyahu about to enter? I guess we'll see here.
Nick actually does have really nuanced commentary around what's going on in the Middle East. He knows way more about it than I do.
Can we get the quality up here?
That's one of the reasons I like watching this.
Also,
it's just entertaining.
Jill Biden, who is that? I don't know who these people are.
That's not Jill Biden.
Is that Alex
No,
Soros?
that's isn't that Netanyahu's wife?
No, is it?
No, that's not Alex Soros, Nick.
And that's not Uma, I don't think, right?
Okay.
Is that Alex Soros? I'm not sure.
Ignore what I just said about Nick knowing
Kinda
more
looks
about
like
this
him.
than anyone else, because obviously he knows some things, but maybe not other things. That's not Alex Soros.
I guess he has glasses. Maybe it's not him.
Isn't that Netanyahu's
I'm guessing
wife,
these
though?
are families of the hostages, would be my guess, in the gallery.
That makes sense, actually.
Oh, that's not Jill Biden. That's somebody else. I'm thinking that's Jill Biden. That's not Jill.
Nick, stop.
All right, here we go.
Can't just stop touching things, Nick. Stop touching things. Stop touching buttons. I'll have to go back over to the C-SPAN stream. Oh.
All right, here we go.
Why are we having foreign leaders speak in front of our Congress? I don't understand this.
Couple minutes.
Why do we allow foreign leaders to come and beg for money in front of Congress?
It'll be interesting to see how hard Netanyahu will be on Biden. He said that apparently Netanyahu has given the speech to Biden in advance. Well, Biden, but we know that Biden's not in control, whoever the handlers are. But typically it's very contentious, Netanyahu's relationship with the Democrat presidents. Doesn't like them. And the last speech, it's no coincidence, the last speech that Netanyahu gave before Congress was in 2015 during the Obama administration. Very tense relationship, very contentious between Obama and Netanyahu. You see, the Democrats are just as supportive of Israel as the Republicans. It's just that the Democrats do not like necessarily the Likud party, which is a far-right party. And so the Democrats, although they're supportive of Israel and the Zionist entity, they are not supportive of the Likud party and Netanyahu, which they see as mirroring the far right in the United States. They see Netanyahu, and I think aptly, as an extension of the Republican Party, as an extension of the Eurosceptic parties in Europe, because they are all in league together. The Adelsons give a massive amount of money to the Republicans. Other Zionists do as well. And they also see Netanyahu as consolidating the Jewish identity of the Israeli state. They want to promote the Israeli left, which has Israel as a pluralistic democracy, maybe even a social democracy, whereas they view the Likud party as making Israel a free market, Jewish, nationalist state. And so that's really a lot of people think, oh, the Democrats are against Israel. Not really. The Democrats aren't really against Israel. Obama actually increased foreign aid to Israel in 2015 or 2016. He signed the Memorandum of Understanding, which actually increased foreign aid to Israel by $200 million per year for 10 years. So it expires the middle of this decade. It was 3.4. They increased it to, it was either 3.4 and they increased it to 3.6, or it was 3.6 and they increased it to 3.8. I forget the exact numbers, but Obama did sign that into law. And of course, Obama expanded all of the wars in the Middle East. He tried to pull us out of Iraq, got drawn back in. Obama brought us to war in Syria, expanded the drone strikes in Pakistan and elsewhere, got us involved in Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen. So make no mistake about it, the Democrats are just as supportive of the state of Israel and Israel's regime change wars. It was also Obama that supported the NATO regime change intervention in Libya. So a lot of people have it in their minds, oh, the Republicans are pro-Israel, the Democrats are not. The Democrats are very pro-Israel. They're all pro-Israel.
It's only the far left that is not pro-Israel. This is another distinguishing aspect between Democrats and the actual far left, the actual socialists, because the socialists are not pro-Israel at all. It's just the Democrats.
Top Democratic donors, individual donors, are Jewish. So the Democratic Party is every bit as Jewish and pro-Israel as the Republicans. It's just that the Democrats support the Israeli left.
The people protesting outside are socialists. They're not Democrats. They're not liberals. They're not progressives. They're socialists. Literally, it's the Party for Socialism and Liberation.
In favor of the regime change wars, they are. But it's just an ideological split. So anyway, the last time Netanyahu addressed a joint session of Congress was in 2015, and it was a defiant speech against Obama, and at that time it was against the Iran nuclear deal, or the JCPOA, which the Obama administration did not tell the Israelis about. They were secret negotiations, just like how Biden restarted those negotiations when he took office a few years ago. Of course, Obama and John Kerry negotiated the JCPOA in 2015, which put limits on the enrichment of uranium for Iran's nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. And it was signed on to by the P5 countries, by Russia, China. Donald Trump unilaterally pulled the United States out of the JCPOA and applied secondary sanctions to countries that continued to support Iran economically. So the whole deal fell apart. In response to this, Iran began enriching uranium
Biden is
past
not
the
there,
limits
Tiff.
imposed by the deal,
He is
which
not.
only makes sense because they weren't getting this.
Isn't Biden supposed to be addressing the nation tonight, though? Am I making that up?
To try to get another deal. And they did this without telling the Israelis. The Israelis leaked it to the press that this was going on, which was a major insult and caused a diplomatic row. And so now that Israel is taking on Iran and all of its proxies in this apocalyptic final showdown, this is the backdrop of
maybe I'll stream that too, then,
of Netanyahu visiting Washington before this all-important election.
Maybe we'll still be live.
To address the
I hope not. I
session
hope I don't
invited by the
stream that
Republican
long.
Speaker. But it looks like here we go. Here we go. The King of America.
Boo! Shame! Boo this man! Boo this man in the chat.
There he is. Look at this piece of shit.
Boo this man. Everyone who cheers for him should be put on a list. Yeah, well, exactly. Like, is it Biden or is it his body double? Like, I guess we'll see.
Gross. First standing ovation. Let's keep a tally.
Yes. Isn't it interesting that the Prime Minister of Israel is getting so much positive attention? I just don't know why that might be. It is very confusing. It's almost like we all report to him. It's almost like he thinks that we owe him our money. I just can't imagine why that might be. He looks evil. I'm sorry. He looks evil. To me, anyway. I don't know. Like, there is something about his energy that is like, it's demonic. And I'm not just saying that. I actually do mean that.
Are you serious? They're still clapping.
Oh my God, the yelling. I cannot, like, F these people. Seriously. Seriously. They're like cheering.
Unreal.
Yo. I hate everything.
Okay.
Members of Congress, I now have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel.
And now another round of cheers.
More clapping.
Yep. Please let us give you our money. Please, Bibi, let us give you our money. We want to give it to you so badly. Please. Why do I have two?
Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, Senator Ben Cardin, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, Senators, members of Congress, distinguished guests.
Elon
Mr.
Musk
Speaker,
is there, by the way.
I want to thank you for giving me the profound honor of addressing this great citadel of democracy for the fourth time. We meet today at a crossroads of history. Our world is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends. This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization.
Really?
It's
Israel
a
being
clash
civilization,
between
everyone else being
those who
barbarism.
glorify death and those who sanctify life.
You've killed over 100,000 people in Palestine. Are you shitting me? He's killed over
For the
100,000
forces of
people.
civilization to triumph, America and Israel must stand together.
Fuck you.
First standing ovation. Here we go.
Fuck you. Everything sucks.
And people are saying it's the sixth standing ovation.
Because when we stand together, something very simple happens. We win, they lose.
Oh my God.
Another one. Another standing ovation.
Where's my alcohol? Why? I think I actually do have beer, my friend.
And my friends, I came to assure you today of one thing.
Actually, I have a vape pen.
They're going to break the
will
record.
Win.
Vape pen.
Another one.
I'm just gonna get high
We're gonna
at
break
2
the
p.m. in the
record.
afternoon as I'm
record's
watching
like
this. I hope
33 or
no,
something.
don't
It's like
mind me.
34.
I'm definitely not getting high on the internet. It's definitely not happening.
Ladies and gentlemen,
What the fuck?
like December 7th, 1941, and September 11th, 2001, October 7th is a day that will forever live in infamy. It was the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah. It began as a perfect day, not a cloud in the sky. Thousands of young Israelis were celebrating at an outdoor music festival. And suddenly, at 6:29 a.m., as children were still sleeping soundly in their beds in the towns and kibbutzim next to Gaza, suddenly heaven turned into hell. 3,000 Hamas terrorists stormed into Israel. They butchered 1,200 people from 41 countries, including 39 Americans. Proportionately,
How many of those people
compared to
did
our
Israel
population
kill?
size, that's like 20 9/11s in one day.
How many of them did Israel
And
kill
these
themselves?
monsters, they raped women, they beheaded men, they burned babies alive,
No.
they killed parents in front of their children, and children in front of their parents. They dragged 255 people, both living and dead, into the dark dungeons of Gaza. Israel has already brought home 135 of these hostages, including 7 who were
You
freed
could have
in
brought
during
home all of
rescue
them months
operations.
ago, you asshole.
Another standing ovation.
There have been multiple deals
All
that he
lies, by
has
the way.
rejected. Yeah, that was like all that what he just said is bullshit. Israel killed their own fucking people, at least a portion of them on that day.
One of those freed hostages, Noor Gamani, is here in the gallery, sitting near my wife, Sarah. On the morning
oh, they had to switch seats. He wasn't in the right seat. Oh, switch quick. So we can do a photo op. Switch quick so we can do that photo op. That's all that matters. She obviously doesn't want to be there, by the way. Everyone sees that, right? That woman doesn't want to be there.
October 7th, the entire world saw Noah's look of desperation as she was violently abducted to Gaza.
She was blinking, help me, help me, help me.
I met Noah's mother, Leora, a few months ago. She was dying of cancer. She said to me, Prime Minister, I have one final wish. I wish to hug my daughter Noah one last time before I die. 2 months ago, I authorized a breathtaking commando rescue operation. Our special forces, including a heroic officer named Arnon Zmora, who fell in this battle, rescued Noah and 3 other hostages.
Another standing ovation for the tally.
Noah, I think it's one of the most moving things. When Noah was reunited with her mother, Leora, and her mother's last wish came true. Noah, we're so thrilled to have you with us today. Thank you.
Another standing ovation. That's crazy.
Nick's hair looks good today.
Many hostage families are also here with us today, including Eliyahu Bibas. Eliyahu Bibas is the grandfather of those 2 beautiful red-headed boys, the Bibas boys, toddlers. And they were taken hostage with their mother and and Eliyahu's son. The entire family was taken hostage. 2 beautiful red-haired children taken hostage. What monsters. And with us also is Iris Chaim, whose son, Yotam, bravely escaped Hamas captivity with 2 other Israelis. And tragically, they were killed, making their way back to our
lives. That does not make you a socialist.
We have with us
there
also
are many non-socialists who sympathize with Palestine.
They're here.
It's an uneasy thing, right? Because on this issue, a lot of us actually end up agreeing with socialists, but that doesn't make us a socialist. They don't applaud this much in the State of the Union.
Have endured is beyond words. I met with them again yesterday, and I promised them this. I will not rest until all their loved ones are home. All of them.
Another standing ovation. Not even true, by the way. Hamas has been offering to free all the hostages for months now.
That's true. Nick is right.
As we speak, we're actively engaged in intensive efforts to secure their release. And I'm confident that these efforts can succeed. Some of them are taking place right now. I want to thank President Biden for his tireless efforts on behalf of the hostages and for his efforts to the hostage families as well.
Another standing up. They're applauding Biden. That's funny.
I thank President Biden for his heartfelt support for Israel after the savage attack on October 7th he rightly called Hamas sheer evil. He dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East to deter a wider war. And he came to Israel to stand with us during our darkest hour, a visit that will never be forgotten.
Another one.
Unbelievable.
President Biden and I have known each other for over 40 years. I want to thank him for half a century of friendship to Israel and for being, as he says, a proud Zionist. Actually, he says a proud Irish American Zionist. My friends, for more than 9 months, Israel's soldiers have shown boundless courage. With us today, is Lieutenant Avichai Reuven.
Another one. Oh, they pulled out the black one. The only black one they have.
Avichai is an officer in the Israeli paratroopers. His family immigrated to Israel from Ethiopia. In the early hours of October 7th, Avichai heard the news of Hamas's bloody rampage. He put on his uniform, grabbed his rifle, but he didn't have a car. So he ran 8 miles to the front lines of Gaza to defend his people. You hear that right? He ran 8 miles, came to the front lines, killed many terrorists, and saved many, many lives. Avichai, we all honor your remarkable heroism. Another Israeli is with us here today, and he's stand up right next to Avichai. This is Master Sergeant Ashraf al-Bakhiri. Ashraf is a Bedouin soldier from the Israeli Muslim community of Raat. On October 7th, Ashraf too killed many terrorists. First, he defended his comrades in the military base, and he then rushed to defend the neighboring communities, including the devastated community of Kibbutz Be'eri. Like Ashraf,
Comrade. Isn't it interesting that he uses that word, comrade?
Like Ashraf,
where do we hear
the
that?
Muslim soldiers of the IDF fought alongside their Jewish, Druze, Christian, and other comrades in arms with tremendous bravery.
What the fuck? Why do they use the word comrade?
Another one.
It's almost as though these ideas come from somewhere. It's almost as though there's an origin point for all the bullshit.
Another one. That's crazy.
You guys see now why we're paying attention to Nick?
Asa fought as an officer in the Tank Corps, and he was wounded in battle. He was wounded in battle while protecting his fellow soldiers from a grenade. He lost his right arm and the vision in his left eye. He's recovering, and incredibly, within a short time, Asa will soon return to active duty as a commander of a tank company. I just learned there is a fourth hero here, Lieutenant Jonathan Ben Chamo, who lost a leg in Gaza and continued to fight.
Look at this disgusting display.
My friends, these are the soldiers of Israel, unbowed, undaunted, unafraid.
Goddamn believable.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
As the Bible says, Am kelavi yakum. They shall rise like lions. They have risen like lions. The lions of Judah, the lions of Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women of the IDF come from every corner of Israeli society, every ethnicity, every color, every creed, left and right, religious and secular. All are imbued with the indomitable spirit of the Maccabees, the legendary Jewish warriors of antiquity. With us today is Yechiel Leiter, the father of one of those Maccabees. Yechiel's father escaped the Holocaust and found refuge in America. As a young man, Yechiel moved to Israel and raised a family of 8 children. He named his eldest son, Moshe, after his late father. Moshe became an exemplary officer in one of our elite commando units. He served with distinction for 2 decades while raising 6 beautiful children of his own. On October 7th, Moshe volunteered to return to combat. 4 weeks later, he was killed when a booby-trapped mine exploded in a tunnel shaft right next to a mosque. At his son's funeral, Yechiel said this: "If the state of Israel had not been established after the Holocaust, the image engraved in our collective memory would have been the photograph of that helpless Jewish boy in the Warsaw Ghetto holding his hands up in the air with Nazi rifles pointed at him. But because of the birth of Israel," Yechiel continued, "because of the courage of soldiers like my son Moshe, the Jewish people are no longer helpless in the face of our enemies." Yechiel, please rise so we can honor your son's sacrifice. And I pledge to you and to all the bereaved families of Israel, some of whom are in this hall today, the sacrifice of your loved ones will not be in vain. It will not be in vain.
These faces, man. The
Because
faces
for
are
Israel,
crazy.
Never again must never be an empty promise. It must always remain a sacred vow. And after October 7th, never again is now.
Seriously.
Another one.
Seriously.
My friends, defeating our brutal enemies requires both courage and clarity. Clarity begins by knowing the difference between good and evil. Yet incredibly, many anti-Israel protesters, many choose to stand with evil.
Go
They stand with
fuck
Hamas.
yourself.
They stand with rapists and murderers. They stand with people who came into the kibbutzim.
Everyone who doesn't want us to genocide the Palestinians, they're evil.
The parents hid the children, the two
if
babies
you oppose
in
the genocide of the Palestinians so we can take their property,
they murder the families.
They're evil.
The
yeah,
parents,
Israel killed their own people. Shut the fuck up.
To the hidden attic, and then they murdered
Oh,
the babies.
brother.
These protesters stand with them. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Here.
Totally ignoring that the IDF killed their own people on October 7th.
Exactly.
And they killed Palestinians. 20 times as many.
Yeah, in the secret attic. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I bet. Kazmar, thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it.
This is a big one.
Yep. All those evil terrorists that don't support genociding the Palestinians.
To make the simple distinction between those who target terrorists and those who target civilians.
You are targeting
civilians.
civilians.
State of Israel and the terrorist thugs of Hamas. We recently learned from the National Security Director, U.S. Director of National Intelligence, that Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America.
Oh yeah, but Nick is funded by Iran. Remember, I want to be funded by Iran.
Even on the 4th of July.
Oh, stop.
And I wish to salute the fraternity brothers at the University of North Carolina.
Oh
who protected the American
my
flag.
God!
That's crazy.
The American flag
That's
against these anti-Israel protesters.
The frat bro uprising. Somebody clip that.
I hate everything.
Co-signed by Bibi Netanyahu himself. Frat bro uprising. That's hilarious.
I hate everything. Genuinely and sincerely.
For all we know, Iran is funding the anti-Israel protests that are going on right now outside this building. Not that many, but they're there.
Oh my! These people are such liars.
Well, I have a message for these protesters.
Oh, there's not that many. There's like 100,000.
There's a massive
protest. From cranes and murder women for not covering their hair.
Oh my gosh!
Praising, promoting, and funding you. You have officially become Iran's.
The fuck? Come on! No. Of course, Rumble.
Useful idiots.
Oh please! It's the opposite.
We're back. We're back.
Some of these protesters, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. Some of these protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC.
If you want to know what Queers for Palestine means, go to carlin.substack.com. Look up Queers for Palestine. I recently did a whole podcast about this, as well as a written article explaining exactly what that means, which
These
none of them understand.
From the river to the sea.
Well, he does.
But many don't have a clue what river and what sea they're talking about.
Oh my God.
They not only get an F in geography,
Always.
They get an F in history.
Oh my
They call
God.
Israel a colonialist state. Don't they know that the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Isaiah and Jeremiah preached, and where David and Solomon ruled?
This guy's the Antichrist. Holy shit.
For nearly 4,000 years, the land of Israel has been the homeland of the Jewish people. It's always been our home. It will always be our home.
Fake and gay, fake and gay, fake and gay. I'm going to make a shirt with Bibi Netanyahu on it that says fake and gay. Or just the Israeli flag, fake and gay. Actually, would that be a decent? I'm gonna do that. That's a fucking tweet. I'm doing that right now. That is a tweet. Israeli flag making gay.
Protesters who get it wrong. It's also the people who run those campuses.
Oh my
80 years
God.
after the Holocaust. 80 years after the Holocaust, the presidents of Harvard, Penn, and I'm ashamed to say my alma mater, MIT, couldn't bring themselves to condemn the calls for the genocide of Jews.
Oh, please. What a
Remember
lie.
what they said? They said, it depends on
That's
the context.
not what they said.
What
that
a
is
lie.
a
Well,
flat
let me give
out
these befuddled
lie.
academics a little context. Anti-Semitism is the world's oldest hatred. For centuries, the massacre of Jews was always preceded by wild accusations. We were accused of everything from poisoning wells,
they
to
did,
spreading plagues, to using the blood of slaughtered children to bake Passover matzahs.
Ariel Toph.
These preposterous anti-Semitic lies led to persecution, mass murder, and ultimately to history's worst genocide, the Holocaust.
What's the
Now,
Holocaust?
just as malicious lies were leveled for centuries at the Jewish people, malicious lies are now being leveled at the Jewish state. No, don't applaud. Listen.
No, can we applaud for that?
The
Can we
outrageous
applaud for
slanders
that?
that paint Israel as
Silence.
racist and genocidal are meant to delegitimize
That's
Israel,
crazy.
to demonize the Jewish state, and to demonize Jews everywhere. And no wonder we've witnessed an appalling rise of anti-Semitism in America and around the world.
I don't think
My
we have
friends,
enough anti-Semitism.
Whenever and wherever we see the scourge of anti-Semitism, we must unequivocally condemn it and resolutely fight it, without exception.
Oh, brother. Anti-Semitism is at an all-time high.
Oy
They're
vey.
lies. They're lies. We didn't poison the well.
Oy vey. Shut it down.
This is like the Holocaust. Oh, really?
Nick's Jewish accent is the best.
And don't be fooled when the blood libels against the Jewish state come from people who wear fancy silk robes and speak in lofty tones about law and justice. Here's a case in point. The prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has shamefully accused Israel of deliberately starving the people of Gaza. This is utter, complete nonsense. It's a complete fabrication.
True.
Israel has enabled more than 40,000 aid trucks to enter Gaza. That's 500,000 tons of food. And that's more than 3,000 calories for every man, woman, and child in Gaza. If there are Palestinians in Gaza who aren't getting enough food, it's not because Israel is blocking it, it's because Hamas is stealing it.
Oh, what a load.
Wow.
It's so unreal how they're able to lie like this. What happened to your aid, Goy?
So much for that
I guess
lie.
Hamas
But
stole
here's
it.
another. The ICC prosecutor accuses Israel of deliberately targeting civilians.
Yes.
What in God's green earth is he talking about?
They consider everyone in Gaza to be
millions
Hamas.
of flyers, sent millions of text messages, made hundreds of thousands of phone calls to get Palestinian civilians out of harm's way.
You
But
are
at the
so
same
full
time,
of shit. Where did you want them to go?
Hamas does everything in its power to put Palestinian civilians in harm's way. They fire rockets from schools, from hospitals,
Unreal.
from mosques. They even shoot their own people when they try to leave the war zone. A senior Hamas official, Fatri Hamad, boasted, listen to this, he boasted that Palestinian women and children excel at being human shields. His words, excel at being human shields. What monstrous evil. For Israel, every civilian death is a tragedy. For Hamas,
You made us do
it's a
it.
strategy.
You made us kill
They
100,000
actually want
civilians.
Palestinian
You made us
civilians to
do
die,
it.
so that Israel will be smeared in the international media and be pressured to end the war before it's won.
Yep.
This would enable Hamas to survive another day, and as they vowed, to carry out October 7th again and again and again. Well, I want to assure you, no matter what pressure is brought to bear, I will never allow that to happen. The vast majority of Americans have not fallen for this Hamas propaganda. They continue to support Israel. And I want to say thank you, America, and thank you, senators and House members who continue to support us, continue to support Israel, continue to support the truth and see through the lies. But as for the minority that may have fallen for Hamas's con's job, I suggest you listen to Colonel John Spencer. John Spencer is head of urban warfare studies at West Point. He studied every major urban conflict. I was going to say in modern history. He corrected me, no, in history. Israel, he said, has implemented more precautions to prevent civilian harm than any military in history and beyond what international law requires. That's why, despite all the lies you've heard, the war in Gaza has one of the lowest ratios of combatants to non-combatants casualties in the history of urban warfare. And you want to know where it's lowest in Gaza? It's lowest in Rafah. In Rafah. Remember what so many people said? If Israel goes into Rafah, there'll be thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of civilians killed. Well, last week, I went into Rafah. I visited our troops as they finished fighting Hamas's remaining terrorist battalions. I asked the commander there, how many terrorists did you take out in Rafah? He gave me an exact number, 1,203. I asked him, how many civilians were killed? He said, Prime Minister, practically none. With the exception of a single incident where shrapnel from a bomb hit a Hamas weapons depot and unintentionally killed 24 people. The answer is practically none. You want to know why?
Gosh.
Because Israel got the civilians out of harm's way.
Does anyone actually
said we could
believe
never
this?
do, but we did it.
Does anybody believe that?
Did Nick just say the same thing? This thing where I say something and then Nick says exactly the same thing is starting to freak me out. I need to stop watching Nick for this.
These heroes here today, the heroic soldiers of Israel, should not be condemned for how they're conducting the war in Gaza. They should be commended for it. I want to thank all of you here today who forcefully opposed the false accusations of the ICC and stood up for the truth. These lies are not only libelous, they're downright dangerous. The ICC is trying to shackle Israel's hands and prevent us from defending ourselves. And if Israel's hands are tied, America is next.
That's correct, dude.
Shut up.
The ability of all democracies to fight terrorism will be imperiled.
The manipulation's so transparent.
So let me assure you, the hands of the Jewish state will never be shackled. Israel will always defend itself.
Yeah, self-defense. Go and kill 20,000 civilians in self-defense.
My friends, in the Middle East, Iran is virtually behind all the terrorism, all the turmoil, all the chaos, all the killing. And that should come as no surprise. When he founded the Islamic Republic, Ayatollah Khomeini pledged, "We will export our revolution to the entire world." We will export the Islamic revolution to the entire world. Now ask yourself, which country ultimately stands in the way of Iran's maniacal plans to impose radical Islam on the world?
Really?
And the answer is clear. It's America, the guardian of Western civilization and the world's greatest power.
Wow.
Yeah. Iran is about to take over the world. Give me a break. How does anybody believe this? Yeah, Iran is about to take over the world.
That's why Iran sees America as its greatest enemy. Last month, we heard a revealing comment, ostensibly about the war in Gaza, but about something else. It came from the foreign minister of Iran's proxy, Hezbollah, and he said this: "This is not a war with Israel. Israel," he said, "is merely a tool. The main war, the real war, is with America." Iran's regime has been fighting America from the moment it came to power. In 1979, it stormed the American embassy. It held scores of Americans hostage for 444 days. Since then, Iran's terrorist proxies have targeted America in the Middle East and beyond. In
It's
Beirut,
our problem
they
now.
killed 241 U.S. servicemen.
You have
In
to give us
Africa,
all
We
your
have to go
money.
destroy
They bombed
Iran
American
now.
It's
embassy.
all our, it's
In
your
Iraq,
problem too.
They supplied explosives to maim and kill thousands of
Iran's
American
going to come for you
soldiers.
next. You better bomb
In
them
America.
first.
In America, they actually sent death squads. They sent death squads here to murder a former Secretary of State and a former National Security Advisor. And as we recently learned, they even brazenly threatened to assassinate President Trump. But Iran understands that to truly challenge America, it must first conquer the Middle East. And for this, it uses its many proxies, including the Houthis, Hezbollah,
That's so
and Hamas.
insane. Yeah,
Yet in the
Iran's
heart of
going
the
to
Middle
take
East,
over America. First,
standing
they got to
in
get
Iran's way,
Israel.
is one proud pro-American democracy.
That doesn't even
my
make
country,
sense.
the state of Israel. That's why the mobs in Tehran chant death to Israel before they chant death to America. For Iran, Israel is first, America is next.
That doesn't
So
even
when
make
Israel fights
sense.
Hamas, we're fighting Iran. When we fight Hezbollah, we're fighting Iran. When we fight the Houthis, we're fighting Iran. And when we fight Iran, we're fighting the most radical and murderous enemy of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Thank you so
And
much.
Iran really wants us. Israel is
When
just
Israel
standing in the
acts
way.
to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons that could destroy Israel and threaten every American city, every city that you come from.
Oh, stop.
We're not only protecting ourselves, we're protecting you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you
Wow.
so much. Thank you for protecting us. Thank you so much. That's so insane. It's insane that people believe this. Like, who's watching this and like, yup. If it wasn't for Israel, Iran would take over the whole
My friends,
world.
if you remember one thing from the speech, remember this. Our enemies are your enemies. Our fight is your fight. And our victory will be your victory.
Your money is our money. Not our money is your money. Your money is our money.
Ladies and gentlemen, that victory is in sight. Israel's defeat of Hamas will be a powerful blow to Iran's axis of terror. Another part of that axis, Hezbollah, attacked Israel on October 8th, a day after the Hamas attack.
Here we
It
go.
has launched thousands of missiles and drones against us. 80,000 of our citizens in northern Israel evacuated their homes, becoming effectively refugees in their own land. We are committed to returning them home. We prefer to achieve this diplomatically. But let me be clear. Israel will do whatever it must do to restore security to our northern border and return our people safely to their homes.
Unbelievable.
Last Friday, a third Iranian proxy, the Houthis, attacked Tel Aviv with a deadly drone. It exploded a few hundred feet from the American consulate, killing one person and injuring 9. On Saturday, I authorized a swift response to that attack. All our enemies should know this. Those who attack Israel will pay a very heavy price. And as we defend ourselves,
they're always defending themselves. We're just defending ourselves, man.
And as we defend ourselves on all fronts, I know that America has our back. And I thank you for it. All sides of the aisle. Thank you. My friends, for decades, America has provided Israel with generous military assistance, and a grateful Israel has provided America with critical intelligence that saved many lives. We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on earth. I choose my words carefully. We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on earth that help protect both our countries. And we also help keep American boots, we help keep Americans' boots off the ground while protecting our shared interests in the Middle East. I deeply appreciate America's support, including in this current war. But this is an exceptional moment. Fast-tracking U.S. military aid can dramatically expedite an end to the war in Gaza.
There it is.
And help prevent a broader war in the Middle East. In World War II, as Britain fought on the front lines of civilization,
there's the ask.
Winston Churchill appealed to Americans with these famous words: "Give us the tools and we'll finish the job." Today, as Israel fights on the front line of civilization, I too appeal to America. Give us the tools faster and we'll finish the job faster. My dear friends, the war in Gaza could end tomorrow if Hamas surrenders, disarms, and returns all the hostages.
Coach, bro. Coach.
But if they don't, Israel will fight until we destroy Hamas's military capabilities, end its rule in Gaza, and bring all our hostages home.
And destroy Gaza and make it impossible for any Palestinians to live there. And then, oh, wait, take control of their land and then get some new beachfront property. And then send all the refugees to the United States.
We will settle for nothing less. The day after we defeat Hamas, a new Gaza can emerge. My vision for that day is of a demilitarized and de-radicalized Gaza.
Exactly.
Israel does not seek to resettle Gaza.
Okay.
But for the foreseeable future,
sure, yeah,
we must retain overriding security control.
How are they? Where are they going to live?
The resurgence of terror to ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
It's our land now. We're going to be fighting security. to make sure that this never happens again. Yeah, totes, bro.
Gaza should have a civilian administration run by Palestinians who do not seek to destroy Israel. That's not too much to ask. It's a fundamental thing that we have a right to demand and to receive.
Can Iran?
Impossible.
Can Iran just go to war with them?
After what they've done?
Palestinians must no longer be taught to hate Jews, but rather to live in peace with us.
Never going to happen, and they know that. You kill everybody's family and destroy their houses.
Those twin words, demilitarization and de-radicalization. Those
You're the ones that radicalized
them. To Germany and Japan after World War II.
Israel that radicalized them in the first
decades
place.
Of peace, prosperity, and security. Following our victory, with the help of regional partners, the demilitarization and de-radicalization of Gaza can also lead to a future of security, prosperity, and peace.
Can Iran just go to war with them
Never
already?
gonna
My vision for Gaza.
Can they please?
Never going to happen. He knows that. You can't kill everybody and blow up their houses and then say, hey, no hard feelings, right?
Now here's
Doesn't
my
work
vision
that way.
for the broader Middle East. It's also shaped in part by what we saw in the aftermath of World War II. After that war, America forged a security alliance in Europe to counter the growing Soviet threat.
Here we go.
Likewise, America and Israel today can forge a security alliance in the Middle East to counter the growing Iranian threat.
No.
All countries that are at peace with Israel and all those countries
You must
who
all
will
go to
make
war with
peace
Iran.
Israel should be invited to join this alliance. We saw a glimpse of that potential alliance on April 14th.
They're not just begging us for money. They're telling
United
us to go to
States,
war with Iran.
More than half a dozen nations worked alongside Israel to help neutralize hundreds of missiles and drones launched by Iran against us. Thank you, President Biden, for bringing that coalition together. The new alliance I envision would be a natural extension of the groundbreaking Abraham Accords. Those accords saw peace forged between Israel and 4 Arab countries, and they were supported by Republicans and Democrats
We are
alike.
absolutely going to war with Iran. Either way, it doesn't matter who wins the election. We're going to war either way.
I have a name for this new alliance. I think we should call it the Abraham Alliance. I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in brokering the historic Abraham Accords.
The Abraham Alliance.
Like Americans, Israelis were relieved that President Trump emerged safe and sound from that dastardly attack on him, dastardly attack on American democracy. There is no room for political violence in democracies. I also want to thank President Trump for all the things he did for Israel, from recognizing Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights, to confronting Iran's aggression, to recognizing Jerusalem as our capital and moving the American embassy there.
Oh, Capitol Police are using pepper spray on protesters.
Jerusalem, our eternal capital, never to be divided again. My dear friends, Democrats and Republicans, despite these times of upheaval, I'm hopeful about the future. I'm hopeful about Israel because my people, the Jewish people, emerged from the depths of hell, from dispossession and genocide. And against all odds, we restored our sovereignty in our ancient homeland. We built a powerful and vibrant democracy, a democracy that pushes the boundaries of innovation for the betterment of all humanity. I'm hopeful about America because I'm hopeful about Americans.
Some of it after this, Mary.
I know how much the people of this country have sacrificed to defend freedom. America will continue to be a force for light and good in a dark and dangerous world. For free peoples everywhere, America remains the beacon of liberty its extraordinary founders envisioned back in 1776. Working together, I'm confident that our two nations will vanquish the tyrants and terrorists who threaten us both. As Israel's Prime Minister, I promise you this: no matter how long it takes, no matter how difficult the road ahead, Israel will not relent. Israel will not bend. We will defend our land. We will defend our people. We will fight until we achieve victory. Victory over liberty, rather victory of liberty over tyranny, victory of life over death, victory of good over evil. That's our solemn commitment.
He looks like the Antichrist.
And we will continue to work with the United States and our Arab partners to transform a troubled region from a backwater of repression, poverty, and war into a thriving oasis of dignity, prosperity, and peace. In this noble mission, as in many others, Israel will always remain America's indispensable ally. Through thick and thin, in good times and in bad, Israel will always be your loyal friend and your steadfast partner. On behalf of the people of Israel, I came here today to say thank you, America. Thank you for your support and solidarity. Thank you for standing in Israel, with Israel, in our hour of need. Together we shall defend our common civilization. Together we shall secure a brilliant future for both our nations.
Everyone knows we don't need Israel, right?
May God bless Israel.
Everyone knows the United States would be just fine without Israel.
Israel and America forever.
We don't need them. They need us.
Look at this piece of shit liar.
The applause is killing me. It's like grating on my brain.
All right, there it is.
Let's see what Nick has to say, and then we'll go to protest coverage.
How many standing ovations? Did we get a tally? How much applause? How many standing ovations? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. I wasn't keeping score. 57? Was that how many standing ovations, though? Because you guys were counting all the applause as standing ovations. We need to know how much applause, how many standing ovations. Somebody had to be keeping tally, but there it is. There's a speech by Netanyahu, first speech to the joint session of Congress since 2015.
There's Ted Cruz kissing the ring.
Praised the Biden administration. And he'll be meeting with Kamala Harris and Biden tomorrow.
He's going to be meeting with Trump, too.
Trump on Friday.
He's going to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump.
So a few interesting things from the speech. There were two asks. Have you caught that? There was a lot of filibuster in the beginning, waving the bloody shirt around October 7th and the troops and all that, and talking about the protesters, anti-Semitism, International Court of Justice. So setting all of the preamble aside, there were two big asks. One, expedite foreign aid. And the reason he said expedite is because Biden is withholding and delaying certain shipments of weapons to Israel. And I believe the Biden administration, they say they're doing it because they're concerned about civilian casualties.
57.
I think they're doing it because they're concerned about Netanyahu expanding the war. And this is what the Washington Post and other sources have reported, is that the Biden administration is concerned that Netanyahu wants to prolong the war, that it is his intention to prolong and expand the war ultimately into
Elon
Lebanon.
Musk is here.
So that he can remain in power.
See?
So the Biden administration is,
sometimes
they say they're slowing down the aid, not withholding it, because this is a tricky thing. The Biden administration can't say we're not giving them the aid, because then the Israel lobby is going to say, why aren't you giving us our aid? October 7th happened. So they can't say they're withholding it, even though they are. So they say they're delaying it. They say, well, we're not withholding it. We're dragging our feet and we're delaying it. And they can't say we're delaying it because Netanyahu wants to use these bombs against Hezbollah in Lebanon. They say, well, we're just concerned about civilian casualties.
What color pill is the fascist pill?
So there's a little bit of deception here. There's a little, they have to finesse the narrative a little bit. So Netanyahu comes to America. He can't openly defy Biden because he wants the aid. So he doesn't say, hey, stop withholding the aid. He says, well, it needs to be expedited.
May be true.
Pay up. He's saying, well, it's time to pay up. We need the bombs and we need them faster. So that was ask number one. Ask number two was this Abraham alliance.
I like that.
So as you know, the Abraham Accords under President Trump was normalization.
It's like red mixed with brown.
Between Israel and 4 Muslim countries, Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, Sudan, and Morocco. And in each out of the 4, the United States had to give something.
We can't call it the green.
We had to give
Adam Green.
money to Sudan and take them off the state sponsor of terrorism list. We had to give stuff to Morocco. We had to give stuff to all these countries. Basically had to bribe them to become a part of this treaty. And again, Abraham Accords is normalization because there's only a handful of Muslim countries in the Middle East and Northern Africa, which have recognized Israel formally as a state. It's very controversial. Most Muslim countries do not recognize Israel as a sovereign state, and they don't have formal diplomatic relations. So Israel declared independence in 1948, massacred and ethnically cleansed many Palestinians from the land. As a result, most Muslim countries do not recognize them as a sovereign state. That changed when Egypt recognized Israel and normalized relations in 1979 after the Camp David negotiations. And then in 1994, Jordan, the Kingdom of Jordan, normalized ties with Israel also. So then, under President Trump in 2019 and 2020, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco became the next 4 countries to recognize Israel. Under the Biden administration, there has been an effort to get Saudi Arabia to normalize ties with Israel, which would be a huge deal because Saudi Arabia is seen as the unofficial leader of the
We're going to be watching
Sunni
protest stuff.
Islam religion.
I'm just wanting to
because Saudi Arabia is the custodian of the two holy mosques in Mecca and Medina. So for Saudi Arabia to recognize Israel, so symbolically, it's a big deal. It's also a big deal because of Saudi Arabia's oil wealth, because Saudi Aramco is the largest private company in the world, and because Saudi Arabia has such a deep relationship with the United States. So the Biden administration was close to securing a deal with Saudi Arabia where they would normalize ties with Israel. And this would be a huge deal because that opens up the trillions of dollars in the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund for foreign investment into Israel. All this previously untapped money that Saudi Arabia has would now be available to invest into Israeli companies, which would probably be brokered by Jared Kushner. That's what he did after Trump left office. But that was put on ice after the October 7th attack. So Saudi Arabia was about to come in, but the terms for Saudi Arabia to enter into the Abraham Accords was that they wanted a security guarantee formalized from the United States. So Saudi Arabia said, hey, we'll join the Abraham Accords. We'll become the 7th Muslim majority country. Well, I don't know if it's the 7th because Turkey recognized Israel, but whatever. We'll become the 7th out of these Muslim countries in the Middle East to recognize Israel. But what they wanted in return was a formal security guarantee. They wanted the United States to commit to defend Saudi Arabia if attacked in a defensive pact, just like the NATO countries. And the United States gave them that. They were about to ink the deal. Then October 7th happened. There was a major breakthrough in August 2023.
Nick Fuentes is on the homepage of the Drudge Report in red.
His second big ask
was,
this
is real.
We'll replay this, I guess.
That's
his
funny.
second big ask is he said there should be an Abraham alliance. He said we should formalize the Abraham Accords countries. And I would imagine that includes also Egypt and Jordan, because he said the coalition that shot down the Iranian drones and missiles in May, which included Jordan also. He said, we want to bring all those countries into an Abraham alliance, a defensive alliance like they have with NATO. And that is meant to counter and confront Iran. So those were the two big asks. He wants to expedite foreign aid, and he says the day after in Gaza, he wants a defensive alliance. He wants the Abraham Accords to expand and for it to be upgraded to a defensive alliance that I imagine Israel would be the leader of, because they're the nuclear power and they're the most sophisticated, capable military in that alliance.
He used
in this
to, he doesn't anymore.
Alliance.
Trump sold out.
The other notable thing that he said is concerning the day after in Gaza. That is the big question right now. What happens when the fighting ceases? Who controls Gaza? Because Israel has invaded Gaza. They've conducted this brutal air and ground campaign. They've killed a lot of people, and they've removed, or that's their goal, is to remove Hamas from power. So the question is, who then administers the Gaza Strip after the fighting ceases? Will it be a Palestinian Muslim government? Will it be the Palestinian Authority from the West Bank? Will it be some sort of Arab government administered by Saudi Arabia and Egypt, or some consortium of Muslim countries? Will it be Israel itself? And what does that look like? Is it security control with the Muslim civilian government? Is it full-blown annexation? Is it settlements? That was the question. What does the future hold for Gaza? And Netanyahu proposed that they will maintain total security control of the Strip indefinitely, but that they will have a Palestinian civilian government. It will not be the Palestinian Authority.
There's pipe bombs in New York City. Did they go off, or did they
in the
find
West
them?
Bank? So now we have a clear answer. The proposal is they're going to destroy Hamas completely. There will be no ceasefire until Hamas is all utterly destroyed. They're going to maintain security control of the Strip, and they're going to appoint a native Palestinian Muslim civilian government that has no affiliation with the West Bank, and it will be subordinate to the Israeli government, which controls the Strip. And by the way, Israel did control the Gaza Strip until 2006, when they were convinced to withdraw from the Strip and disband their settlements and allow the Palestinians to hold elections. And then the Palestinians elected Hamas, and then Israel immediately blockaded the Gaza Strip.
That was a
so sort of going back to the
news. Nick
pre-2006
answering
status
a super
quo,
chat on his live stream,
and they're depriving
really
the
great reporting
Palestinians of
from Newsweek.
self-governance once again.
Really great.
But here's where it gets interesting. So that's actually not tenable. I don't know if anybody actually believes this, but it's not tenable. Netanyahu says we need to de-radicalize and demilitarize the Gaza Strip. And by that, he means root out and destroy these networks, these underground tunnels, and these supply lines where Iran is able to get missiles and other munitions into the Gaza Strip. He says we're going to de-radicalize them and appoint a government that doesn't want to destroy Israel. But how is that possible? Israel has just killed like 1% of the whole population in Gaza. Israel has destroyed 50% of the land, all the hospitals, most of the schools, most of the farmland, most of the residential buildings. They've destroyed all of it. They've destroyed all the cities. They've killed probably at this point 30,000 women and children. How then does Israel come in and say, hey, now you can't hate us anymore? Now you're not allowed to hate us.
Exactly.
I don't see how that actually works other than generational control over the Strip, meaning for many, many decades. So it sounds like clarity has been introduced, but it actually creates more questions than answers. What does it mean that Israel's going to make it so that Hamas can never inflict another October 7th? It means they're going to have some pretty tight security control over Gaza forever. Probably the fighting will go on for a lot longer. And then how they're going to build it up with some Palestinian civilian government, I don't even know how that's possible. But so those were the notable takeaways outside of all the rhetoric, which is all lies, by the way. And it's so transparent. Your enemies are our enemies.
Yeah, for real.
Our struggle is your struggle. I mean, does it even really need to be said?
Your money is our
Iran
money.
Is not on the precipice of taking over the world.
Yeah.
And this comparison between the Soviet Union and Iran is utterly ridiculous. Now, there is, in principle, a similarity because they are both revolutionary regimes. They are both, by definition, they're both revisionist powers in the sense they're revolutionary revisionist powers in the sense that the Soviet Union was a true pariah state. And they did seek to export the communist revolution all around the world. And they undertook a lot of pariah-like actions.
Because he's leaving.
For example, they seized foreign assets in the Soviet Union. They refused to pay down the debt of the former Russian Empire. So a lot of these things did not help their international
this was earlier.
reputation.
They're replaying it. Okay, this is when the Senate came in earlier.
Recognition of their formal diplomatic
then.
status as the sovereign of the territory in Russia. And so the Soviet Union was sponsoring revolution all around the world, in Mongolia, in China, in Eastern and Western Europe, in the United States, Africa, in every continent of the world. And that was the basis of the Cold War. That's why it was necessary to have a Cold War. We had to counter them on every continent and in every country because they really were seeking to undermine the world order by exporting a revolutionary ideology. The difference, though, and Iran is in principle similar. I will say, because I'm honest, that Iran is similar. In 1979, they had an Islamic revolution, and they actually do seek to export Islamism, which is a state that is based on Muslim theology. They have a religious state, which is led by a religious leader, their supreme leader, their head of state. Although they have a democratically elected president who is the head of government, their head of state, Ayatollah, is the top cleric. And so they do seek to export that. Of course, the difference is, so that's basically where the similarities end. The difference is that the Soviet Union was one of the biggest land empires in the history of mankind. Okay, the Soviet Union was one of the biggest land empires in the history of the world. At the end of World War II, they had an economy that rivaled the size of the United States. Shortly after World War II, they were the next country to develop a nuclear bomb. And then at one time in history, they had the largest nuclear arsenal in the world. So you had the largest contiguous land empire in history with the largest stockpile of nuclear weapons, which they were successfully able to miniaturize and mount on intercontinental ballistic missiles. They had at one time a greater economic output than the United States. They had a more sophisticated space program than the United States. And they truly were competing for global hegemony with the United States on every continent. That is a far cry from the Islamic Republic of Iran, which does not have nuclear weapons, which does not have a military that rivals any major country in the world. They're not even a regional hegemon, let alone a world hegemon. They're not exporting the Islamic Revolution anywhere other than Yemen. Anywhere other than Yemen, which is barely even a country. I mean, the entire Arabian Peninsula, there's not one nation state among them.
That makes
Saudi
no sense
population, mostly foreign workers. And there's no sense of nationhood. What is a Saudi Arabia? And it's ruled by this dynasty, the House of Saud. They're Bedouin tribes. Okay, so when they say, well, they're exporting the revolution to whom exactly? Yemen? to a port country? And who else? To some tribes in Iraq and Syria? This is not the Soviet Union. Utterly ridiculous. The idea that Iran challenges the United States is a joke. It's laughable. The idea they're exporting their Islamic revolution anywhere outside of some Bedouin tribes in Arabia, laughable. The idea that even if they had a nuclear arsenal, they can't miniaturize it. They don't have intercontinental ballistic missiles. The idea that those nuclear bombs could ever threaten the United States is laughable. The idea that their country is run by irrational Muslim clerics is a joke. They're rational actors. So all of this hysteria and alarmism about Iran, these are lies. The idea they're paying for all of this stuff is ridiculous. The fact of the matter is, the Israel lobby, and in addition, not only to the lobby, because people talk about AIPAC. First of all, AIPAC is the tip of the iceberg, okay? AIPAC committed $100 million to spend in the 2024 cycle. That's one group. Miriam Adelson committed $100 million as an individual. That's $200 million between AIPAC and an individual donor alone. Forget about Bill Ackman. Forget about all the other Jewish Zionist money. Forget about all the other groups and Jewish federations and World Jewish Congress. That's just two. It accounts for $200 million coming down on one side. But the Israel lobby, the formal Israel lobby, is just the tip of the iceberg. What about all the Jewish neocons in the media? In the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, Fox News, Daily Wire. 20 years ago was the Weekly Standard and National Review, a number of other very influential magazines and papers. It's everywhere. Their influence is felt everywhere. And of course, it was the Israel lobby, which is not just the formal political lobby, but also their influence in media, business, and other elite sectors of society, which pushed us to war in Iraq and Syria and Yemen and Sudan and Somalia and Libya and Afghanistan and Pakistan and everywhere across the globe. So the idea that Iran is a threat, it's no different than when Israel told us that Iraq was a threat. Saddam Hussein has WMDs and is going to challenge the world. Or that Bashar al-Assad has, remember when they said Bashar al-Assad has chemical weapons? And how many times did we bomb Assad over chemical weapons? And we found out that, in fact, it was the rebels. It was the so-called moderate opposition that was in possession of the chemical weapons in Idlib province and elsewhere. And anyway, so this is nothing new, okay? This is the same old hysteria, alarmism. Iraq is at war with the West.
All right.
Syria is at war with the West. Whoever Israel wants to take out for their own benefit suddenly becomes an enemy of humanity and Western civilization and America. Suddenly they're a threat to America. Suddenly they're behind 9/11 and they're behind the not the white phosphorus, the poison attack shortly after 9/11. Every single time, it's the same playbook. And we've seen it with Iran for a really long time. So that's all the rhetoric. The key takeaways from this speech, like I said, it was the two asks, which were heard by the Biden administration. By the way, they heard that. Expedite the aid, Abraham Alliance, which means once the fighting's over, they want Saudi Arabia to get the defensive pact. And they also want to be a part of a formal defensive pact. And they also want Jordan and Egypt and Morocco and Sudan and Bahrain and the Emirates to be brought into it. And it'll be a whole block formalized against Iranian influence. That's an attractive offer to the United States because China is trying to buy a lot of these countries away from the United States. And as we enter a multipolar world, a multipolar balance of power in the world, increasingly, the United States is going to rely on allies to compete with China and Russia put together. China plus Russia, which are now in an indissoluble military and economic alliance in the wake of the war in Ukraine, they now constitute roughly 50% of global firepower. That's why the United States increasingly must rely on Western Europe and its allies in the Pacific, like Japan and South Korea, to make up that deficit so that they can achieve parity with the Russia, China, Iran, Venezuela, Cuba alliance. And so as the world becomes more multipolar, you can see that China and Russia are giving attractive offers to these other revisionist powers and even to these countries that are looking to extract concessions from both sides, like, for example, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a Belt and Road country. They're taking investment from China. At the same time, they want a military defensive pact from the United States. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt have all acceded to the BRICS alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. They want the benefits of the Chinese side, but they also want the benefits of the American side. They want the investment and the credit from China, but they also want the military pact from the United States and some investment from the United States as well. So, for example, Saudi Arabia is part of Belt and Road. They're part of BRICS, but they also want a defensive pact from the United States. And they also want to be a part of the IMEC corridor, India, Middle East, Europe corridor, which is going to connect India through the Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel to ports in Central Europe. Brazil is another one. Brazil is a member of BRICS. Brazil is critical of Israel, but Brazil also is an ally of the United States and relies on the United States for defense. And so there's a lot of countries that are trying to take with both hands, or trying to take rather from both sides. And so the reason why a formalized alliance with Saudi Arabia is attractive to the United States is because that seals the deal. It sort of forces Saudi Arabia and these other Gulf countries onto our side. If Saudi Arabia was playing both sides and trying to see who can outbid the other, and they're really just taking from both, if they're formalized into a security alliance, that concretizes them on the side of the United States. So that's why it's an attractive offer for America. That's maybe why we're considering it. But so those were the big things. The other thing, like I said, is the day after proposal. We finally got some clarity on what that looks like. It's total Israeli security control over the Strip, going back to the pre-2006 status quo. And then the rhetoric is all the other stuff we've heard before. Netanyahu attacking the usual suspects, Iran, International Court of Justice, so-called anti-Semitic protesters in America, talking about the Holocaust and all this stuff. And by the way, the beginning of the speech was waving the bloody shirt. That's an expression that comes from, I believe, the Spanish-American War, when they would literally take the bloody shirt and wave it around. People rally around the martyrs sacrificed during the war. So it's an old expression. So this is what they do to create sympathy. You can't talk about, wounded veterans in a negative way. But let's not forget that on October 7th, we now know that Netanyahu deliberately allowed this attack to happen.
True.
Most likely. And we know that because we now have many reports that Israeli intelligence knew that Hamas was planning an attack. They knew how Hamas would carry it out. They knew when Hamas would carry it out. They saw Hamas training and preparing to carry out an attack exactly like this. And then, so not only did they know it was coming, and all the intelligence suggesting an attack would occur was ignored by the higher-ups, but then on the day of the attack, we also now have intelligence that Israel was killing their own people.
Israel was killing their own people.
That Israel, for example, was blowing up Hamas-controlled vehicles that were escaping back into the Gaza Strip.
Antiwar.com. That's not coming from Nick. That was
captured hostages inside the vehicles. And we know that Israeli tanks were blowing up Israeli households and killing, in one case, at least 13 civilians inside, which included twins.
Kino, what are you watching?
Daughters, 2 girls. So they talk about, the October 7th was like 9/11 and Pearl Harbor. October 7th was like 29/11s, and these are savages that killed the people in the kibbutzim and killed people at the concert. Netanyahu killed people. He killed his own people. And it's part of their military doctrine. They kill captured soldiers, and in this case, even civilians, because according to Israeli military doctrine, it's preferable that Israeli soldiers die as collateral damage rather than be taken hostage, because if they're taken hostage, they could be used as a bargaining chip to extract concessions, which they view as an existential threat to the Israeli state. So it's literally part of Israeli doctrine, and we now know it's confirmed. I reported on this a couple weeks ago on the show that Israel did, in fact, kill potentially hundreds of their own people on October 7th. So out of that 1,200 death count,
specifically
targeting it could be up to and maybe even more than at least 100 that were killed by the IDF intentionally. And none of those people would have been killed had Israel listened to Israeli intelligence. I have a live stream,
Kino. I'm just not, I don't know what you're
up to a year and even beyond before October 7th had warned about exactly the type of attack that was carried out on that day. So just about everything that was said in this speech is a load of crap. Okay, these crocodile tears about October 7th, which has cynically been used as a pretext for a very politically advantageous war for Netanyahu for a number of reasons. It's allowed him to stay in power, even though he's wildly unpopular. It's also allowed him and his radical coalition and government to expand Israel's territory effectively into the Gaza and ultimately maybe South Lebanon. So that part's not true. This nonsense fear-mongering about Iran taking on the world, exporting its revolution, threatening American cities, that's not true. This stuff about, whatever anyone criticizes Israel's conduct in the war, it's all lies. Really? Because our own government, our own Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said that Israel killed 25,000 women and children alone. That's just women and children, 25,000 dead. So it's a speech full of lies. How many standing ovations? Like 50 applauses, maybe 30, 40 of those were standing ovations. And that's how you know who our Congress really answers to, by the way. It's totally offensive.
They don't even do that in the State of the Union.
A foreign head of state comes here in defiance of our American president. I don't care who the president is. In defiance of the president to give this speech, and they, Mike Johnson getting up and down, literally doing tricks on it. Clapping more for Netanyahu than Biden during the State of the Union. And that's how they treat it, like the State of the Union.
Exactly.
So it's unbelievable. And if that doesn't disturb you, if you find nothing wrong with that, you're just not patriotic. And I don't care. You may think
Unicorn
for
Riot
your
or
own reason that
socialist.
supporting Israel is in our national interest. There's a case to be made. I think it's a very weak one.
I have breakthrough news.
There's almost no case. You could try to make a case. People have, like J.D. Vance is experimenting with this new argument. It's a very weak argument. And whatever. I'll allow, maybe have a difference of opinion. I don't think there's a very good basis for it. Regardless, if you don't find this a little bit unsettling, you're just not patriotic. There's just something wrong with you. And if you don't see the parallel between this and Zelensky, then you're blinded by ideology. You have been blinded by partisanship.
Exactly.
And I think the Ukraine thing is in fundamental ways different from this. I could talk about that another time, but I believe Zelensky addressed Congress at one point, and it was similar. The Democrats wearing their Ukraine pins, and everybody said, I can't believe a foreign flag in our capital. They're clapping for this guy. But then when Netanyahu does it, they're waving the Israel flag. They're wearing the yellow ribbon. Oh, it's so great.
Exactly.
You should be offended by both.
Exactly.
But they are.
I am literally married to a Ukrainian. And I have been clear since the beginning. I never wanted foreign aid to go to Ukraine. But I was fucking lambasted online for at one point having Ukrainian flag in my thing, because I'm literally married to a Ukrainian. My husband literally has family in the Ukraine. So I was being very clear, no foreign aid, no US intervention, but I got raked over the coals for just having a flag in my fucking profile. And then all this shit starts in Israel, and then we're required to support Israel, but we weren't. I mean, it's just it's such bullshit. It's such hypocrisy.
Prefer that. It's not the case with Israel. Israel is fighting an offensive war in Gaza.
Completely different.
Ukraine is fighting a defensive war in Ukraine.
Exactly.
And their people are dying, and their economy is being destroyed. And when the war is over, Zelensky's like toast.
Yep, true.
And Ukraine will be carved up into a rump state. This is not working out for them. They are fighting a defensive war that they want to win. Should have never been fought for reasons which are complex. But the difference is that Israel is fighting an offensive war in Gaza. This is no way, shape, or form
I'm literally not
defensive.
Ukrainian.
This
I'm
is
literally
a punitive
French
expedition.
and Irish.
They're going into Gaza. They've created a buffer zone in Gaza, which is 15% of the territory in Gaza.
That is my husband.
And they're out there to literally murder everybody in the regime there and punish the civilians, because they believe that everyone in Gaza should be held accountable. So this is an expansionist war, which we're paying for.
Bro.
And don't get me wrong, I oppose the foreign aid to Ukraine.
I am married to a Ukrainian. When I married the Ukrainian, I took the Ukrainian's last name. This is not hard to figure out. It's not hard to decipher. My maiden name is very French. Borisenko is my husband's last name.
The other. There was no possibility where Ukraine was ever going to join NATO and Putin would allow that. It just was not going to happen. There was no scenario where Crimea was going to fall into the hands of the West. There was no scenario where Kiev would join NATO. Just not in the cards. And so the United States, both Obama and Trump and Biden, should have listened when Putin said it's not going to happen. They should have listened. And they should have not deployed missiles to the Eastern European theater. And they should have not aggressively, and Trump was a part of this too, aggressively armed Kiev in their war in Donbass. And anyway, but people are always like, the Ukraine and Israel are so similar. No, not even close. Because there is some ostensible argument. In some ways, this is a war that does benefit the U.S. security apparatus at the expense of everybody else. The war in Ukraine, they will admit, it's an expensive war that is meant to diminish Russia's military, and it has the perhaps intended effect of weakening Europe and forcing them to rely on the United States. It's destroyed the European economy. And it's made Germany dependent on LNG, and it's brought Western Europe back into the fold where, for some time they were wavering, they were bringing in Chinese 5G. And anyway, with Israel, there's just no comparable argument. But that's something that I'd like to debate with Tim Pool at some point if he'd ever have me on his show. But anyway, it's totally besides the point.
That would be a great debate.
The fact of the matter, here's what matters. You cannot support Zelensky. You cannot support Netanyahu. You cannot support $200 billion for Ukraine. You cannot support $300 billion for Israel. You cannot support dying in Ukraine and Estonia in a war with Russia. You cannot support dying in a war in Iraq or Syria or Afghanistan or Iran for Israel. There's one flag that should fly in the U.S. Capitol. That's the American flag. If we have allies, our closest allies should be the ones that are actually our kin, like the United Kingdom or Canada or Australia or France. But we should always heed the farewell address of George Washington and Dwight Eisenhower, which is no entangling alliances, and beware the military-industrial complex. It's not complicated, okay? It's not complicated. But everybody seems to have a double standard. So anyway, that's my big take on the whole situation. If anybody's our closest ally, it's France. France is who liberated us or helped to liberate us in the revolution. If anybody's our closest ally, it's the United Kingdom or Australia or Italy, which is a birthplace of Western civilization. And these are allies. Israel, not so much. They don't share our religion. They don't share our ethnicity. They don't share our customs. It's not reciprocal. When we fight wars, the United Kingdom and Australia are there. Israel doesn't send troops to our wars.
True.
All these other countries allow us to have bases. Israel doesn't let us have bases in their country. So anyway. But that's that.
All right.
But that's going to conclude our coverage of the Netanyahu address.
All right, guys, that does not include my coverage. I want to tune into some protest coverage, and we're going to first check out. We're just going to bang around to some protest live streams, guys, because there has been pretty massive protests outside the Capitol today. Now, I do want to go back and listen to some of the speeches, and there are live streams. They've been live streaming the protests all day outside the Capitol. Far left media has, but I just want to tune in live because there's a couple live streams right now that the police are using pepper spray on protesters outside the Capitol. I know they did try to raise a Palestinian flag. It looks like they've got a bunch of different streams going right now. So let's just tune in and watch what's happening. And guys, please make sure to mount the like button for me. We'll ding around a little bit to the different live protest coverage so we can see what is going on if you feel so inclined. Are these grassroots? Well, both. They're both. Guys, I would love to if everyone could dispel from the myth that all leftist protesters are paid by George Soros. It's just not true. It's just really not true on any given level. My understanding is that I know at least one of the groups that's been involved in organizing the protest today is the Party for Socialism and Liberation. They do not take money from George Soros. They are completely self-funded. Look at that. And this is just live right outside the Capitol right now. So these are organized groups because socialists are very organized. The far left is very organized, but they are also grassroots. They are not funded by George Soros. They are not they hate George Soros. They hate these corporatists. And so it's actually a amount of both. Let's tune in and just see what's happening. Live protest coverage. It's outside the U.S. Capitol right now. No, wrong. No, it's not. That's all bullshit. Wrong, 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 wrong. Look, they got the upside down triangle. We're anarchists, is the same thing. Yep, PSL signs everywhere. Every time you guys see a red shirt or a red sign, that's the Party for Socialism and Liberation. They've been a group that's been supporting the campus protest, the college protest. Remember, guys, these are not Democrats, these are not liberals, these are not progressives, these are far-left radical revolutionary socialists. Yeah. Listen, I know it feels weird to be aligned with socialists in any way, but you have to remember, okay, there is a legitimate Free Palestine movement that's been around for a very long time, right? And I just turned down the volume a little bit because I'm hearing the whistle. There is a legitimate Free Palestine movement. However, the majority of the protesters that you're seeing here, they don't give a flying flip about Palestine. It's like Palestine is just an issue that they're using to advance a far left political ideology. So while it might seem like you're aligned with socialists, you can't think of it that way because most of them don't actually care about the obvious and clear genocide that Israel is perpetrating in Palestine. That's not actually their number. The reason they support the Palestinians is because the Palestinians are in their glorious uprising over the settler colonists, which is code for capitalist, the bourgeois, even though Bibi Netanyahu is using socialist words, so that's another interesting development. But you're not on the same page as them just because you might, agree with them on one issue. We're not really aligned with them. This is just not true at all. That's just lazy, bro. That's just lazy. Lazy and dumb. Fake and gay. I'm gonna go back earlier in this. I guess I can't go back earlier. Let me pop into one of their other live streams. I don't really feel the need to watch them yelling in a language I don't understand. What's going on? This is inside the Capitol. Looks like they were arresting people. I wish I could rewind their live streams, but I can't. Let me check out a couple of their other live streams just to get a sense of what's going on. That's the actual address to Congress. We don't need to see that. All right. Let me go to, and we'll keep these guys in mind, guys. I do have a whole bunch of stuff pulled up on my screen. I want to go to the breakthrough news. And I kind of want to start watching the protest coverage from earlier in the day because they did have a whole rally outside earlier in the day. Let's see. Let's start here and let's just see what happened at their protest. And this was earlier today. And I want to watch the speeches. I want to see what happened. Hang on, let me just fast forward to the part where the speeches start. Interesting musical choice.
From Lebanon to Palestine, resistance is justified.
Resistance means resistance against the capitalist oppressors.
There is only one solution.
Intifada revolution.
Intifada revolution.
I know their chants.
Intifada, intifada.
What does intifada mean? Pop quiz for the chat. What does intifada mean?
Intifada.
Intifada. Intifada. What does intifada mean?
Say how. Lift the siege on Gaza now. We want justice. You say how.
An intifada means a global uprising against capitalism. It means a worldwide socialist revolution. That's what they mean when they say intifada. A revolution against capitalism. Socialist revolution. Worldwide socialist revolution.
Justice, you say how. Stop arming Israel now.
No, just because you've seen protesters before doesn't mean they're professional. You made that up. Provide receipts. I want receipts of her actually getting paid. Otherwise, shut the fuck up.
You say how.
Guys, if you can't tell, my patience for conservatives coming into my chat and saying they're all paid protesters funded by George Soros, it's gone. It's gone. There's no actual evidence of this. These are protesters who protest for a living. They are organizers for a living, but you have no evidence that means they're funded by George Soros. And the reason I know that is that they're not actually funded by George Soros. This is just what they do. This is part of their identity. This is what these people have been organizing together for literally years. That doesn't mean they're funded by George fucking Soros.
Daughters, we will honor all our martyrs, all our parents, mothers, fathers. Glory, glory to our martyrs.
Hey, thank you, Joshua. It is crazy once you start seeing it, right? Once you start learning the language, you see it everywhere.
Glory, glory to our martyrs, to our children, sons and daughters.
Alex Soros funds politicians. He funds more. They fund more like globalist stuff. They fund a lot of stuff in universities, but they don't fund this.
Middle East. From the belly of the beast.
All right, she's just doing a chant. Let's fast forward a little bit.
Hands of the mud.
I can only listen to so much yelling.
Free, free, free Palestine.
Free, free, free Palestine.
There is only one solution.
Intifada revolution.
Intifada revolution.
All right, where are the speeches? Oh, here we go. Guys, the reason that you've seen some of these people before is that the Party for Socialism and Liberation has been organizing all the protests in DC. So it is very literally the same group of people that's just going back again over and over and over and over and over again. But the Party for Socialism and Liberation is completely self-funded by dues, by donations, by publishing, by like event sales. They're getting a lot of donations for stuff like this. But how socialist economies work is it is a very insular system. So basically like the people involved in it are constantly putting their money back into like different socialist things. So that's actually where they get their money. But if you recognize people from previous protests we've watched, it's because the same groups are organizing the protests. It's Party for Socialism and Liberation, who we've been tracking on this channel since last year. All right. Where's that guy that was doing the speech? Come on. Give me a speech. Like, we've seen this guy before. I'm going to turn him up. I'll turn myself down. We can turn him up.
To be here alongside of you to say that today the war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu should and must be arrested.
He was at the last protest.
Not only must there be a ceasefire now, but Congress should cut all aid to Israel. There is no possibility of looking at this a different way than as a terrible genocide and war crime. Tens of thousands of people have been killed because of Netanyahu. Hundreds of thousands of people have been injured because of Netanyahu.
Well, the Party for Socialism
in Gaza has been destroyed because of
The Party for Socialism and Liberation is running a presidential candidate this year. Her name is Claudia Dela Cruz. We watched her speak on Saturday. So the last episode of Socialism Saturday, we watched the speech she gave outside of the RNC. She's been traveling all over the country since last September, going to college campuses everywhere. She is on the ballot in enough states to get 270 electoral votes. Now, does that mean they're going to win? No, that's actually not the point. They don't care about winning political power. The only reason that they have political parties is to give people something to join so that they can use them to organize them to do other stuff. So socialists don't care about winning office. They don't care about winning elections. They do not believe that that they are going to be able to get the change that they want through political means. They think that they're going to have to use violent revolutionary means, but they create political parties to give people something to join, to give them like a social circle that they can join and be a part of and give money to and stuff like that. So they do run candidates. Sometimes they even win things like occasional local things, or there are people in Congress that they don't hate, very few of them. But mostly that's not actually what their goal is. Yeah, I'm not going to cover that Jackson Hinkle shit. I know that Jackson Hinkle and the Midwestern Marx guys created a new communist party. I know about it, people, but I cannot take that as a serious effort. I'm sorry. And I've had Noah from Midwestern Marks on my channel. I like Noah. Noah's a nice guy. But I cannot take that new Communist Party seriously, like, at all.
Yahoo! The healthcare system has been destroyed because of Netanyahu. And we know that it's not just Netanyahu, it's the US Congress and the Biden administration. This isn't an Israeli genocide, it's a US and Israeli genocide.
I think we're going to end up going to war with Iran. I think so.
Benjamin Netanyahu, Mike
Because
Johnson,
everyone wants to.
Chuck
All the
Schumer,
politicians want
Hakeem
to.
Jeffries,
Sadly.
and Kamala Harris.
See, they hate all of them. Thank you.
And it's important for us to know that despite these people in Congress saying that they're the so-called representatives of this country, that they don't represent us or the majority of people in the United States.
Yeah, so I've covered this in other places, but you asked the question, so I'll answer it. So what I think is going to happen is I think there will be a violent overthrow attempt of the government within the next 10 to 15 years. I think that we're going to have intermittent violence until then, but I think that the real violence is not going to come until the very end. It's kind of like they're moving all their chess pieces around the board and they're getting themselves into within a couple moves of like checkmate. And then once they're within a couple moves of checkmates, that's when we're going to see the violence. And I think it's going to be pretty quick because you got to understand they've got all these people in the government already. So it's kind of like once they go, it's going to be because they know they've already won, basically. And so I think it's going to happen about 10 to 15 years or so. I could be wrong, but that's kind of just like my take. No, Haas is a communist. He's not. There's no such thing as MAGA communism. That's not real. He's making that shit up.
Time and time again, poll after poll has shown us that the majority of people
not a real
in
communist.
this country are demanding an immediate end to the genocide being perpetrated.
Jackson Hinkle is a clout whore, is what he is. That's all it is.
We've seen organizations of all types, from the UAW to the NAACP,
UAW,
to the African
Union,
Methodist Episcopal Church,
all unions,
to hundreds and thousands of others who have demanded an end to the war and an end to weapon shipments to Israel. We are the majority. So we thank you again. My name is Eugene Puryear from the Answer Coalition. I want to also let you know that we are being watched in every corner of the globe today. So we love your enthusiasm, but remember, if you have a big flag, to keep it a little bit off to the side of the press riser, because these are the cameras that are taking us to the people of the world who are also demanding an immediate end to the genocide in Gaza, an end to the occupation of Palestine, freedom for Palestine. So we say free Palestine.
Wait, I had no idea they had a channel on Cozy. Really?
In the occupation now.
He gave Haas and Jackson Hinkle a channel on Cozy.
And most important, we're letting him know, Benjamin Netanyahu, you are a war criminal.
Where's my Cozy channel?
And if they won't arrest you, we're here to conduct a citizen's arrest on you for the crimes you have perpetrated. I'd like to bring to the stage now Rama Ali Kassad from the U.S. Palestinian Community Network.
Washington, D.C.
Oh, God. Ah, she's much louder.
Are you ready?
She is much louder.
Are you ready?
Shit. Lower the volume.
Are you ready to reaffirm our commitment to Palestine? Are you ready to reaffirm our commitment to liberation? Are we ready?
Hey, Kino. All right, let me go back. Okay, so is that on one of those other streams that you sent, Kino? Let me see. Let me go back into the other live stream. We can see what's happening live. Oh shit, it's loud. Hang on. I don't see a march, Kino. So what are you looking at specifically? I appreciate the super chat, but I need to know what you're looking at specifically because. Oh shit, they're doing a sit-in. Hang on, look at this. Look at this. This is live. What we were just watching with the speeches wasn't live. This is live. Okay, listen. I appreciate that you're monitoring a Twitter space for me, Kino, but what I would say is I don't believe anything that comes out of any Twitter space unless I see live goddamn video. And so and I certainly don't believe anything Nick Sorter has to say. So I appreciate that this is in a Twitter space, but unless there's video, so far as I'm concerned, it's not happening. I don't believe any of those assholes. Most of them are just liars and cloud chasers.
Yeah, we could do that. Thank you so much.
I wonder if this is a replay or if this is actually live. No, Nick Sorter is not on the ground. Absolutely not. This is why we don't listen to influencers. I feel like this might be old footage from yesterday because there was a mass protest in Congress yesterday by I think this is like a Jewish anti-war group. This might be like Jewish Voices for Peace or something like that, where a bunch of people got arrested. So this might not be live. This might have been from yesterday. I'm not certain that this is actually like happening right now. See, they're wearing yarmulkes. Like this is like I'm pretty sure this is the Jewish group that had a lot of people arrested yesterday. Yeah, so this is not live. This is old. Still interesting. Let's go back and go here. I don't think this is live either. So this is them trying to hang a Palestinian flag up. Okay. Let me see the stream that Kino just sent me. We'll see if it's actually live. I don't think this is live. Okay. Hang on. Let me turn on the Sky News stream that Kino just sent me. There you go. Let's see what's happening. Oh, I beheaded Biden? Oh shit. Oh shit, what the fuck? Oh, they're the cops. Are the cops trying to stop the protest? What are they doing? Oh, this could get interesting. This could get interesting. Well, Kino, it wasn't I didn't believe you, it's that I want video. This is not Nick Sorter. Nick Sorter is not on the ground. There's no way Nick Sorter is on the ground, Kino. I'm sorry, that's not real. This is Sky News. It's not Nick Sorter. Oh shit! Are the cops going to break the protest? The cops are surrounding the protesters, it looks like. What's going on? What is going on? Remember, guys, social escape cops. Look at this.
Did you know that the MPD is hiring? If you like to protect war criminals, murderers, pedophiles, and rapists, apply to the MPD. The MPD is hiring. They love to protect war criminals, murderers, pedophiles, and rapists. They get paid to protect war criminals, murderers, pedophiles, and rapists. That's what the police department is doing.
You know, we have a video. It's fine. Relax.
Benjamin Netanyahu here, his first trip since that war began with Gaza 9 months ago, 39,000 people dead. Let's just have a little listen to what Benjamin Netanyahu had to say just over an hour ago.
I want to watch protest coverage. What are you doing, Sky
these
News?
families have endured is beyond words.
Okay, we're back. We're back. What's going to happen? Why is there a standoff with the cops? Why are the cops surrounding the protesters? Yeah, it's almost like they don't hate white people, huh? It's true. Okay, thanks, Kino. I've got that stream now too. You know, I don't need any more streams. I've got like 4 or 5 already set up, so you can relax. Oh, it's from earlier. Okay, never mind.
Who's paying for all these fucking pigs? Who pays for these pigs?
By Union Square Station, police gathered around those protesters. There are thousands of people here holding placards that describe Benjamin Netanyahu as a war criminal, outraged that he's been invited to speak and address Congress. And as I said, there were Democratic lawmakers.
Why are the
who
police
stayed away,
surrounding them?
From this address today. Although when you looked at the space there, it looked quite full. They weren't all members of Congress. They had brought in other people, we're told, to fill the space in. But as I said, applause punctuating every sentence that Benjamin Netanyahu made. This is as much about his political survival as well. He's trying to show a level of strength here. It's his first trip here to the United States since the war began. 4th time he's addressing Congress. Let's bring in our James Matthews.
Yeah,
Now,
I'm kind of
James,
wondering
I
why
can
they're
hear the
why are they
helicopters
surrounding the protesters?
and of course, the police down below. There are still hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the streets.
Yes, report. Tell us what's happening.
Several thousand yards. I'm walking down Constitution Avenue, about a mile from where
the
you
Capitol
are.
Police revoked
Something
the
like
permit.
600-700 meters from where the Capitol building is, and that is clearly the concern of law enforcement
That was
in
nice
this
of them.
town. If we look that way, you can see.
And of course, stupid
you can see the
conservatives are going
fences
to be
fencing off
cheering
the
about that,
Capitol,
forgetting that
and
the same
beyond
thing was
that,
used
police
against them.
officers in riot gear. I have to say, in amongst this crowd, they are walking peacefully, very loud. Police officers taking a lot of abuse, but in terms of what I've seen in the past half hour, it's been a peaceful march along Constitution Avenue, away from the Capitol. There have been clashes of sorts earlier on with police when demonstrators and police officers came together. Officers used pepper spray to deter them, so that happened earlier on. It also happened after the Netanyahu speech at the tail end of the protest, when demonstrators gathered outside Union Station in the center of Washington, D.C. They ripped down American flags, burnt them, and there was also the burning of an effigy of Benjamin Netanyahu. So at that
they
point,
burned
officers
Benjamin
moved in,
Netanyahu in effigy.
and pepper
That's
spray
funny.
was again used. Officers in riot gear
Can't have that.
with protective face masks and so on. But if you take a look down that way, you can see the demonstration as it stands at the moment. They came up this way towards the Capitol earlier on before Netanyahu's speech, gathered outside Union Station, and are now making their way down the street away from the Capitol, now something like a kilometer away from the Capitol building. No suggestion from any of these demonstrators that they were targeting the Capitol itself, but clearly that's where Netanyahu was. That's where America's politicians were gathered for that address. And in this town, they don't need any reminders about invasions of that seat of power. Indeed, only yesterday, there was a protest, a peaceful protest, inside the rotunda at the Capitol, where protesters gathered to make their point, a similar point, against Netanyahu, his presence and everything that, for them, he represents. And you can take a look at that sign. That's what he represents to the majority of those gathered here today. They accuse Netanyahu of being a war criminal, of genocide. That's the point they have come to make in the streets today. That was a point made in the Capitol building itself by Democrats, politicians who stayed away in protest at Netanyahu's presence. Not present in that chamber, of course, was Kamala Harris. She was elsewhere campaigning in Indianapolis. Normally, she would be sitting on the speaker's forum behind the invited guests as a gesture of welcoming. as a additional
Everything is
welcome
breaking up
and respect. She says that she was otherwise engaged, convenient perhaps, given the division inside the Democratic Party about Gaza, policy on Gaza, America's support for Israel and supply of weapons and so on. It's a tricky one. Has been a tricky one for Joe Biden. It will be tricky for Kamala Harris moving forward. And of course, Netanyahu, you take a look that way. We can see the gathered throng static now, still several hundred strong. It's going to be tricky for Kamala Harris moving forward, but more immediately, tricky for Biden. He has a meeting with Netanyahu tomorrow in the White House. He's invited his Secretary of State to be present, delaying a foreign trip. He's invited the families of American hostages to be there, all part of an effort by Biden to lean on Netanyahu to reach a ceasefire, to reach a deal that would represent progress in the Middle East. On the back
going
of
on with that music?
Speech that we heard from Netanyahu, Yalda, I have to say that would appear to be a slim hope right now. Not one mention of ceasefire in that speech lasting nearly an hour from the Israeli Prime Minister.
Yeah, and in many ways, James, in this difficult week that we've seen for Joe Biden, extraordinary that Benjamin Netanyahu's arrival has really haunted and reminded people here in the United States of the challenges that Joe Biden has had with Benjamin Netanyahu. During his speech, he thanked...
All right, I want to go back to the protest coverage from earlier because I actually want to see what the protesters actually said rather than just taking everyone's word for it. Because I want to hear the language they're using. I want to hear the rhetoric they're using. I want to hear the organizations that showed up today. So, guys, this is protest coverage from earlier in the day.
Palestinians have been resisting the imperialist, capitalist, Zionist project. And for 10 months and 75 years.
What are Palestinians resisting? Say it with me. What are Palestinians resisting? The capitalist project, the Zionist capitalist project.
For almost 10 months and 75 years, Palestinians have been resisting the imperialist, capitalist, Zionist project.
3 words that all mean the same thing.
For 10 months and 75 years, we have stood alongside them from here, the belly of the beast.
Of capitalism.
We stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. And we will continue building and sustaining this movement until the total liberation of Palestine.
Private property Zion. Liberation means liberate from capitalism.
We are here to remind these war criminals, to remind these butchers, to remind these cowards, your days in power are numbered. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to continue this movement until liberation, until the liberation of Palestine? Today, the butcher and the war criminal and their partners in war crimes are mingling together. Today, they are here attempting to wield their ruling class corrupt institutional power to try to silence us. They are here to try to normalize their corruption, to normalize their racist agenda, to grasp onto their losing narrative and try hard to wipe away their losses. We won't let it happen. Are we ready?
Base socialist.
Are we ready? However, we are here. We, the people of
Look at all those signed. End aid.
So
conservative media will tell you that the protesters are just anti-Semites. They're just anti-Israel. They don't have any demands. They don't even know what they want. What conservatives like to do is go find one person that they can clip out of context at one of these protests to make all the protesters look stupid. But socialist protesters always have a list of demands. This is like one of their number one things. They always have a list of demands. And you can see right here, they're all holding signs. Stop aid to Israel. Stop aid to Israel. Stop. How many stop arming Israel do you see in that crowd? They all know what they want. This is boycott, sanction, divest. That's what the BDS movement is. That was who was protesting on college campuses. It literally is in the name of the movement. Boycott Israel, divest from Israel, stop sending Israel money, sanction Israel. That's what they want. That's what they've always wanted. So anyone that tells you the protesters don't even know what they're protesting, that's retarded. They have it on their signs.
Our comrades in Gaza, and here we are reminded.
They don't know and they don't care.
Of empire that we will never back down.
Fox News is making the protests look small.
Brothers,
Yeah,
sisters,
of course they are.
And kins,
comrades.
We have sharpened the contradictions.
All right,
yes, there are two sides to this genocide. There are two sides. There's the side of the oppressor, and there is the side of the oppressed.
Oh, that's kind of on the nose, isn't it?
The side of the oppressor are the ones who want to maintain a white supremacist, imperialist, capitalist structure.
Oh, three words don't mean the same thing.
The oppressed is the side that is resisting, that is fighting, that will continue struggling for freedom and liberation.
Almost like they're socialists.
The ruling class has chosen their side.
Means capitalism.
But guess what? We have
private property ownership.
Ours. Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
From the river to the sea! I can't hear you. From the river to the sea!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free!
Free from capitalist oppression in taking their land and privatizing it under capitalism. Yep.
Biden, you can't hide! We charge you with genocide!
Socialists are so much better at writing chants than conservatives are. Yep, they've all got signs saying what they want, but none of them have any ideas what they want. Look how big this protest is. It goes all the way down the street.
Our next speaker is from the American Muslims for Palestine, Aya Ziada.
Good morning, Washington, D.C.
Turn the volume up a little bit. There we go.
On this day, 102 years ago, the League of Nations assigned the mandate of Palestine to Britain with the 1918 Balfour Declaration. This would be the start of Israel's brutal occupation of Palestine, 102 years ago. Last week, the International Court of Justice declared the Israeli occupation of Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem illegal. It also unequivocally found that Israel is committing apartheid against Palestinians in the occupied Palestinian territories. This ruling is not just a validation for what we Palestinians have been screaming for decades. It is a clarion call to the world that the time for action has been overdue. For too long, Palestinians have endured unspeakable suffering under the shadow of occupation, settler colonialism, and apartheid. The ICJ's decision shines a light on the truth that has been obscured by political maneuvering and willful ignorance. Yet the true measure of justice will be seen not in the proclamation of law, but in its enforcement. Over and over, we've been forced to confront a damning reality. The United States has played a central role in enabling Israel's genocidal campaign in Gaza and its broader occupation of Palestine. Our tax dollars fund the bombs that rain down on Palestinians. Our political leaders offer unwavering support to a regime that systematically oppresses and brutalizes an entire people, now recognized by international law. For Congress to allow a war criminal like Bibi to enter the halls of our legislative chambers, let alone our country, is nothing short of disgraceful.
Okay, do we have a stream for this? Hang on, I'll
the
go back to my other stream
occupation
and see.
existed long before him. We all know that. But Netanyahu's hands are stained with the blood of thousands upon thousands of Palestinians. The 9-month-long genocide of Gaza, marked by relentless bombings and blockades,
The Sky stream doesn't
bears
show that,
his
Kino.
signature. And yet our leaders, those who claim to stand for justice and democracy, have not only welcomed him, but have met with him, tactically endorsing his crimes. President Biden, who's set to meet with Netanyahu tomorrow, despite knowing the absolute truth for months, and every member of Congress who has facilitated this visit, not only stands complicit in these atrocities, but is single-handedly responsible for
There's
them.
no live streams of this, Kino.
We must channel our outrage into action. It's not enough to condemn these actions with words. We must demand that our leaders uphold international law and human rights, no matter how tiring it may become for us. The occupation and apartheid must end, and the enforcement of the ICJ ruling is a critical step in this journey. We must pressure our government to cease its support for Israel's crimes, both politically and financially, and hold those responsible accountable, like Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Okay.
This is a moment of truth for all of us. Will we stand by as our country aids and abets genocide? Will we allow our leaders to betray the principles of justice and humanity? Or will we rise united and resolute to demand an end to this complicity?
Okay. Kino sent me a Twitter live stream from someone who seems to be on the ground. So let's just take a quick look at this and see what's going on. Yeah, Kino, but this is why I am telling you that reporting information out of a Twitter space, unless we've seen video, is just not helpful. I appreciate you being in the Twitter space, but like, unless I see video, I don't really care. Is that it? I thought this was like a live broadcast. Oh, okay. That's not, anyway, that's not live. Sorry. I thought that was a live thing. Okay. Kino, I really need you to double and triple check something before you send it to me, because when you send me something that isn't live and it's from earlier or something like that, it's just really confusing to be able to do this on the fly. Let's go back to this.
Louder!
I appreciate the help, but it's not helpful when it's all
rally our
confused.
communities, educate our peers, and hold our elected officials accountable on a daily basis. The world is watching, and history will judge us by our actions or our inaction. Let us honor the resilience and courage of the Palestinian people by refusing to be silent, no matter how long it takes. Let us demand justice, not just in words, but in our deeds. We owe it to the Palestinian people. We owe it to ourselves as American taxpayers and to the future generations to fight for a world where justice prevails. And that begins by making it clear that we, as Americans, tax-paying citizens, do not welcome war criminals of any kind into our country or the halls of legislative chambers that our tax dollars provide for. Thank you, and free Palestine.
Yeah, there's nothing on that AP protest stream anymore.
Hello to everyone.
Okay.
How are we feeling?
I understand you're working on it on your end, but what I am telling you is you have now said, and I appreciate the help, bro, I really do. But what I'm saying is that I've now had to sort through half a dozen streams that you've sent me, that most of which are not live on the ground right now. So while I appreciate what you're doing, if you're going to send me stuff, I am respectfully requesting that you just double check before you do it to make sure that it is actually live going on right now, because that is what I care about right now. And if we don't have that, I'm going to continue watching this from earlier. So the frantic chatting in of the new streams is very distracting for me when I'm trying to sort out what is going on right now, what is not going on right now, while being live on the internet. So again, I appreciate the help, but in order for this to be helpful, I need you to slow down, to breathe, and to look at what you're doing before you send it to me. That is my request.
The weather is not so beautiful, but it's a wonderful day to confront fascism and imperialism in all its forms. My name is Muhammad, and I'm with the Palestinian Youth Movement, DC, Maryland, and Virginia chapter, and it's my pleasure to be one of the MCs for today. Almost 10 months later, after all the barbarity, all the fascist cruelty, we are more united than ever and stronger than ever, and they are weaker than ever before. That's the truth. And we promised as soon as Netanyahu announced his visit that we will not allow him one moment's peace. And I am so proud to announce a couple of actions that have occurred so far. One, he and the Zionist delegation woke up in their meeting room at the Watergate. They woke up to maggots and bugs and mealworms.
They did that. They put maggots and bugs and all these things into the hotel.
Like they deserve. And as we speak right now, 4 intersections around the Capitol have been blockaded by the people, for the people. And the people are only getting started. We are only getting started. And it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker today, Zaina Hutchinson from the Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee.
Good morning, Washington. Okay, maybe we need a different chant. Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
We are meters away from a war criminal being celebrated. Shame. They're not only celebrating a war criminal, they are protecting a war criminal. The irony is that Cop City built these metal cages to keep us, the people, out to protect the guilty. But what they don't realize is that we are the ones here, free with the truth and calling for justice, and they are the cowards, captive, literally and figuratively. They are the ones who will forever be imprisoned in the legacy of genocide. We see you. We see you. Liberation is inevitable and accountability is coming. We protest a genocidal maniac.
Guys, as a reminder, we're watching protest coverage from earlier in the day when they were doing speeches before Bibi Netanyahu's speech in front of Congress. So I want to hear what they actually said. And if anyone has live coverage, if something is happening live, and I emphasize live, let me know about it. But like, if it's not live and it can't be confirmed that it's live on the ground, I want to stick with this for a little while to actually hear what they had to say.
Supporters and enablers and demand his arrest, but we will not give them the attention they so crave, because despite them, we are here to uplift and center the Palestinian people in Gaza, in Tulkarem, in Al Khalil.
That's a Party for Socialism and Liberation
in
t-shirt.
Nablus, in Ramallah, in Jaffa, in Haifa, in Bisan, in Bethlehem, in Rashrash, in Jericho, in Al-Quds, and all Palestinians in refugee camps and in genocidal maniac, his supporters, and his enablers and demand his arrest. But we uplift the memory of Muhammad Bhar, whose last words were, "Bas ya habibi," while being mauled by an Israeli army dog and then left to bleed to death. And we uplift the memory of Hind Rajab, of Sidra Hassoune, and the tens of thousands of Palestinian children killed by the Zionist entity over decades. We protest a genocidal maniac, his supporters, and his enablers, and call for his arrest. But we uplift Palestinian journalists, academics, healthcare workers, farmers, thinkers, athletes, artists, and all resistance to oppression, subjugation, and genocide. We uplift the memory of our Ghassan Kanafani, our Najil Ali, our Fadwa Tuqan, our Shireen Abu Aqle, our Rifat Al-Arir. We protest a genocidal maniac, his supporters, and his enablers, and demand his arrest. But we uplift the thousands of Palestinians in all of the Zionist
not live,
dungeons
that's a replay.
and torture camps. Let's make sure they hear us when we say, we don't ask permission to end genocide. We demand it. We don't ask for permission to end apartheid. We don't ask for permission to return to our homeland. We demand it. We don't ask for permission to free Palestine. Because liberation is a right, not a gift. Together we will not be denied. We will not back down. We will not be defeated. We will not surrender. We will not submit. Let's stay focused. Let's remember that Palestine unites us. Lastly, look around you. Each and every one of you is part of a just and historic movement. And it's called a movement because it can't be stagnant. It has to continue.
You expect them to all fly to Israel to have a protest? That's retarded.
Injustice is more powerful.
You expect them, well, why assemble here? Because the Israeli prime minister is here. The Israeli prime minister is asking for billions of dollars of our money. Why? Here's a question for you, Christopher. Why is the Israeli prime minister coming here asking for our money to fund his fucking genocide? Why doesn't he just stay in Israel? Why doesn't he just use Israeli money? Why does he have to come here and ask? How fucking dare our government let a foreign head of state beg for money while they applaud him 57 fucking times?
Any of their weapons. So while we are here powerfully together, let's remember and let them hear us in Gaza, in Palestine, and in every room and chamber in Congress when we say, free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
I can see it, but you can't fully see it. There are thousands of people who are lining Pennsylvania Avenue to say no to the war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu. So if you're off on the sides and the sidewalks, if you can, fill into the street so we have the greatest possible manifestation for all of those who want to take photos, so we can see the sea of humanity that has come here to stand with the Palestinians today. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said, a time comes when silence is betrayal, and we will not be silent in the face of a genocide. Dr. King spoke those words at Riverside Church in New York City. And I'm honored to bring to the stage, and I ask you to give a warm welcome to the Reverend Adrian Thorne, the senior minister from Riverside Church.
Good morning. Good morning. We're so grateful to be here with you. We organized 9 busloads of believers of many faiths to be here today to stand with you.
It's almost like churches are being taken over by the left.
Against death and to proclaim life, to stand against destruction and proclaim peace, to stand against the United States Congress welcoming Benjamin Netanyahu and to proclaim there is another way. Shame. 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 There is no place in this land of the free and home of the brave for a war criminal to speak to the most powerful people in our nation. There is no place for Netanyahu, for whom the International
Do you have receipts for that, or are you just making shit up? You don't make shit up here. Provide evidence.
And beseech our government for our tax dollars to add to a death toll already exceeding 40,000 human lives. Shame. Evil swept the land we call holy on October 7th, and evil continues to sweep the land. But let's be clear, beloveds, when we fight evil with evil, evil wins. Crimes against humanity are not welcome in these United States. Benjamin Netanyahu and his death-dealing policies are not welcome in these United States. And we have gathered from all over the country to say we stand against giving legitimacy and a platform for Bibi to address our United States Congress. As followers of Jesus Christ, the Riverside Church grounds our justice belief in an understanding that all people are made in the image of a loving God, regardless of how they name God or if they name God at all. We refuse to pick one baby over another baby. We refuse to pick one grandpa over another grandpa. We condemn Islamophobia. We condemn anti-Semitism in all their hateful manifestations. We honor life, and we mourn all those killed in this ongoing brutality. I offer these words today for the freedom of our siblings in the Holy Land, as well as for our own freedom. In the words of Angela Davis, if Palestine can be free, then we all can be free.
What does that mean? Angela Davis says, if Palestine can be free, then we all can be free. Hint, it is the same reason that it is the same thing that Queers for Palestine means. Socialist activist Angela Davis, if Palestine can be free, we can all be free. What does that mean? That doesn't make any sense, right? We're Americans. We're already free. Well, in theory. So why would Angela Davis say, if Palestine can be free, we can all be free? Freedom means socialism everywhere. Keep going. It means free from capitalism, free from capitalist oppression. What this means is that if the glorious uprising, the decolonization effort works in Palestine, it can work everywhere. It means to be free from capitalism. It's the same reason Queers for Palestine is actually a thing. Queers for Palestine means everyone in solidarity against the evil capitalist oppressors, because they believe that we are all oppressed by capitalism, which is defined as private property ownership, and that if we just get rid of capitalism, we will all be free. It means we can all be free from capitalist oppression. No one is free until we are all free from the oppressive force of capitalism. So if the glorious Palestinian uprising, which is how they think of it, succeeds, that means they will have successfully decolonized the land by removing the settler colonists from the land, which means removing the oppressive force of capitalism and returning the privatized land back to the collective care of the indigenous people. And if they can do it there, that means they can do it anywhere. That's what that means. Does everyone understand that? Well, that's probably because the protest is kind of over, Kino. So we're just going back and watching old stuff now. But does everyone understand what I just explained? Let me know if you have questions.
The Riverside Church in the city of New York calls for the release of all hostages, calls for the release of all prisoners being held in Israel without cause, calls for an immediate and adequate aid distribution to Gaza, and an immediate, just, and permanent ceasefire. We encourage all people of faith and all lovers of life to do the same. Amen. Free Palestine.
We have an update. Previously, I told you there were 4 intersections that were been blockaded by the people for Palestine. Now it's 5. Pennsylvania and 9th, Independence and 14th.
Right
North Carolina
off. Fuck, you chat in one more stupid thing to my chat, I'm going to permanently ban you. Fuck right off. We are not obligated to support anything with our taxes, bro.
and Pennsylvania Southeast, Independence and 4th, and Union Station have all been claimed by the people. All I'll say is stay tuned. More to come. Now, please give a warm and heartfelt welcome to our next speaker all the way from New York City, Rabbi David Feldman.
In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians.
A based rabbi.
I'm
Here
here
we
with
go.
a contingent
Let's go.
of the rabbinic community, rabbi, scholars, and students from the New York, New Jersey area.
Remember, guys, Orthodox Jews are not Zionists. Orthodox Jews do not support Israel. They do not like Israel. So every time, like, you hear someone say that in order to be Jewish, you have to support Israel, no, you don't. Wrong. Yes, shalom.
We are here, we are troubled and disturbed when war criminal Netanyahu stands up to address the Congress of the United States. He comes here supposedly representing all Jews and claiming that the Jewish religion supposedly condones.
Listen. Sometimes you have to take one issue at a time and you have to form single issue coalitions and then you worry about other things later, okay? Just take the wins where you can, Andrew.
Movement and the actions it carries out. He claims that the Jewish people are supposedly in a danger from their supposed enemies, the Palestinians, that supposedly want to drive us all into the sea. This is misleading propaganda in order to drive American politicians to blind support to what he calls the supposed self-defense. Zionism does not represent Judaism. Judaism is a religion a religion only, while Zionism is a purely political movement.
That's a good way to explain it.
The state of Israel does not represent world Jewry. We have masses of Jewish people worldwide who publicly oppose, condemn everything Israel stands for. The Palestinian people are not the enemy of the Jewish people. We lived in peace in Palestine as in other Muslim countries prior to the 1920s, prior to the invention of Zionism, despite any differences of religion. It is the brutal, illegal, and anti-Jewish occupation of Palestine which is causing death and destruction to Palestine and to the Jewish people. According to Judaism, Jewish people are in a divinely decreed exile. We are forbidden to create any sovereignty by physical means. We are forbidden to kill, steal, or oppress any people, especially the Palestinian peoples, people who are kind to us for so long.
No, that's not what I said, Christopher. Do you have a high enough IQ to be here? We do have a 100 IQ minimum in order to be in my audience on my channel, because that's actually not what I said at all. So maybe you need to rewind and listen to it again. And then if you still don't understand, rewind and listen to it again. And then you can rewind and listen to it again. And then maybe you might understand. But if you can't understand like what I said, then you're probably not smart enough to be here, bro. Sorry. It's me, not you.
We condemn the movement of Zionism. We condemn Netanyahu when we say, your blood is covered, your hands are covered in blood. If we truly want to see a better future, we must understand and realize what is the root cause to the problem. It is the occupation of Palestine, which is destroying everyone involved. Certainly we need a permanent ceasefire, but the ceasefire is way not enough. We need a total end to this entire occupation of Palestine. And then, and only then, we can hope to see once again that historic peace be in the future, God willing, inshallah. Thank you very much.
One more time for Rabbi Feldman, please. Now, previously I told you there were 5 intersections that were taken. Let's add one more. The intersection that has been claimed, the 6th intersection that has been claimed by the people in the name of Palestine and against the war criminals, Constitution and 10th. Let's keep the energy up.
Yeah, they were blocking
our
roads,
comrades putting themselves on the line for our people in Gaza, and to let everyone inside that cursed building know what we're about. And let's keep that same energy as we welcome our next speaker, Nihad Awad, from the Council on American Islamic Relations.
Oh, isn't that Israeli? Not Israeli. Isn't that organization that they all hate? Like the conservatives, like this.
Assalamu alaikum.
The conservatives like have a conniption over.
I know. It's a sad day in American history.
Yeah, this one.
You know why?
BAIR.
Because there is a war criminal in town. They call him a prime minister, but what do we call him? A criminal. A criminal is at loose on Capitol Hill. Shame on our Congress, on the leadership. Instead of getting his testimony today, he should be delivered to The Hague to give his testimony about his war crimes over there. Ladies and gentlemen, this war criminal Netanyahu has a long history of crimes against humanity, has a long history of manipulating our own government and exploiting America's generosity. For the past 30 years, he has been actively manipulating our government to conduct wars in Iraq, and we see the results of devastating war on Iraqi people, on the Iraqi land, and even our own economy here in the United States. And now, today, in a few hours, he will deliver a blistering, manipulative, deceptive speech to crack down more on the Palestinian people and destroying them, destroying their lives, their properties, and their own future state. Not only that, he will work hard on his speech to manipulate our government to conduct a war with Iran.
True, he did.
This war criminal has said in many speeches, and I paraphrase, he believes that the American people are stupid and they can be manipulated and can be directed the way he wants it. Are the American people stupid?
Yes.
We are not stupid.
Yes,
we have exposed his deceptive tactics. We have exposed his criminality. He is a danger to the region, even to the Israeli people themselves. And he is a danger to American national interests and to the world security and safety. Today, we applaud members of Congress who could have been in that house, the House of People, applauding a war criminal, but they decided to boycott them, and we appreciate these people and we thank them. If the Vice President, Kamala Harris, found a way to skip the criminal's speech, what about those people who are planning to go there? Shame on them. Brothers and sisters, as I conclude, protesting like this and protests are magnificent. We are voicing our opinion, and we are showing that the American public will never, ever be fooled again by Netanyahu and his extremist government. However,
hey guys, if you just joined us, we are watching protest coverage from earlier in the day. This was earlier in the day today, speeches before Benjamin Netanyahu's speech. This is largely organized by far-left radical revolutionary socialist groups like the Party for Socialism and Liberation. If you would be so kind as to mount the like button, I would appreciate it. And if you appreciate my coverage of this, please feel free to send in a super chat. I would like to hit the $100 goal today, just to, kind of keep things on track. I really do appreciate your support, guys. I can't do it without you. Let's continue.
However, I have to challenge you today. Are you willing to be challenged? In addition to this showing, a powerful showing, the US media, international media is here witnessing your power, your voice, your advocacy, standing up for justice for everyone, including for the Palestinian people. You are here with your energy, but I challenge you today to thank those who skipped the criminal's speech today. I challenge you to call those people who applauded his speech and invited him to protest their hypocrisy and normalization of criminal work and the devastating war against the Palestinian people. I challenge you not to give up on the election in November. I challenge you to go up and show up because the uncommitted movement was able to sideline President Biden, and we have to continue. We have to continue to put up our demands for ceasefire, for ending the U.S. military aid to Israel, for the U.S. complicity in these war crimes, and for the U.S. to commit to rebuild Gaza and work for a peace process that will lead to the creation of the Palestinian state on their own homeland. I, as a Palestinian, I thank you all for being upright, for being courageous, for speaking up truth to power when it is difficult, especially for our brothers and sisters from the Jewish community, students, and everybody from every background. Thank you all for being the hope for the Palestinian people and for rising up to wake up America from its delusion. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Let's give it one more time for Nihad Awad from CARE. I don't know if you guys are aware, you can see the effects of these masses that have gathered here, but I'm hearing that Constitution is effectively shut down by our presence here alone from 11th here. That is why the state is spending tens and tens of millions. For what? Because they fear the people. Because they know their power is weak. And that's what we are doing here today. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our next speaker, the president of the Palestinian American Organizations Network, Mohammed Abdel Salam. Please give it up for him as he comes on stage.
Good morning, DC. Let's let Netanyahu know. Netanyahu, you will know. Can you please chat with me? Netanyahu, you will see. Palestine will be free. Netanyahu, you will see. Palestine will be free. Cease fire now. Cease fire now. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. I would like to thank you all for being here today, driving the distance from all over, taking days off, taking time from your families to be here today. And I would like to give a shout out for our own organizations and our members who are driving and flying from Chicago, Detroit, Dearborn, Flint, Michigan, Youngstown, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, New Jersey,
they fly in from
Tampa,
all
Florida,
over. That's
Richmond,
how
Virginia,
organized
and of course, Washington, D.C. area. Thank you all for being here. We are gathered here today on the 292nd day of the apartheid colonial regime assault on Gaza, where Netanyahu thought it's going to be a cakewalk. And it has been the longest war Israel ever fought. If a small land like Gaza, less than 135 square miles, can hold Israel to a 292 days of war, okay, imagine if all areas in the Middle East can gather together and pull together a unified front. To date, this genocide war had claimed almost 40,000 lives, mainly children and women, and more than 100,000 injured, and over 2.2 million displaced in Gaza, many of them 5 to 7 times over. 447 schools and universities and higher educational areas have been destroyed in the last 9 months. 81,000 tons of bombs have been dropped on Gaza. That's equal 5.5 times the Hiroshima nuclear power that dropped on Japan. There is no water, no drinking water. There's no electricity in Gaza. There are no food. All exits to Gaza has been blocked, and there's nothing can come in out of Gaza. Even the injured cannot leave. Over 230,000 residential units have been destroyed in Gaza. When the war stopped, many of these residents of Gaza will never have a place to live for years to come. Today, we are gathered here to tell Netanyahu, to tell our Congress, shame on you for harboring an international crime. Shame on Biden for giving him a visa. Okay. Netanyahu's visit to the United States is to get an approval to prolong the war and probably to open the northern front with Hezbollah. And he is going to prolong the war in Gaza till Trump will be elected, if he is elected in January, so Trump can give him permission to take an attack on Iran. Today we call on our elected officials for the following. 1, demand an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. Halt all arms sales and military aid to Israel. Support an international investigation into war crimes and hold the responsible accountable. Open all crossings into Gaza to allow the flow of humanitarian aid. And recognize the state of Palestine and support the Palestinian people's rights to self-determination. Thank you for standing together today. Let us continue the fight for justice, for peace, for freedom and independence for the Palestinian people. Free Gaza and free Palestine.
All right. Guys, I think I've seen enough for today. We watched the whole Netanyahu speech. We watched a bunch of the protest coverage. I've been streaming for a little over 3 hours right now. I feel like I'm done. I feel like I'm done watching. And I think we got a good sense of what happened today, and people can form whatever opinion they would like about it. But yeah, I'm going to take my leave. But I appreciate everyone sticking around to join me today. I will be back at 5 p.m. tomorrow, and we'll do it all over again, guys. Thanks so much. Take care. We'll see you soon.